was at, just to give people a chance. So after me, it looks like it went Travis Hunter. And then I wanted this guy. My brother just took him.
7?
Yeah,
Buka. Is this a super flex?
Yeah, you could do 2 QBs. I know Ward's not taking
Ward isn't even taking.
But I have Darno as my 3. I have Allen, Lawrence.
11 if he goes to 11. You can't.
I also have 9, but I'm going to see if I get Caleb there.
Yeah.
And then because now I have Harvey and Caleb.
Okay.
And then I'll wait for 11 because I have Darno, so I'm going to pair him with Milrow.
Yeah, you got to get Milrow.
This is why I did that with Barkley.
That's crazy.
To be able to do that. Yeah, I think the thing about quarterbacks is if you don't need one, there are going to be other areas that you need some help with.
But in the Superflex, people always need a quarterback.
People are saying that this is going to be with the Triple H, Hampton, Henderson, and Harvey. Right there, pair them with Genty. They think that this is going to be the best class since 2017, where you had Kamara, Dalvin Cook, a few other guys. McCaffrey was there, but he was not in the top at the end of that year. And there was
that was Fournette.
Fournette was that was the other guy. Those were the top 4.
Yeah, everyone took Fournette first.
Yeah,
there ended up being the worst.
There was 5 there that were all good. So. All right, let's go, man. It's 11:01. Again, thanks for joining us today. And thanks for all the likes. We got a great amount of likes there, 1.6K, so that means a lot to us. We're back at 2 o'clock, so join us then. And for now, it's the Midday Show. Ciao for now.
Go get them. Why not?
Oh, boom! Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the Midday Show. That's your boy, Joey Options, and I'm Sharif. And where are all the people at in the chat? We got Duran Gordon. Shout out to Disco. Who else, man? We got Showtime VB. Shout out to Buffalo Soldier and Ronaldo. What else? We got Dr. JD Voice. We got Ahmad. We got Mark Susi. We got Ket Copy Paste. Who else? Nobody 2310. Slobodon 24 and Wake something or another. Shout out to May Reyes and JCO Igni. Man, these are hard names to say, baby. Derek Thompson. We got Christopher over here. Shout out to Glaze94 and Jimmy Oliver. It's Chuckaroo in the chat. Shout out to Safa, Mohammed, Rook 78 and Alton 1830. Have an awesome day, fellas. He's telling you boys. We got Bob the Dog and DAP 711. Who else? We got Kronz 1 Put and Jag 8322. My PD Rider. We got who else, man? Agent of Chaos. Love the name, man. Awake something or another. Wake Kajawa. All right, we got Glaze94. One more, Joey.
One more.
Iggy Sosa. Love the name.
I thought you were going to say Iggy Azalea.
All right.
Shout out to Iggy.
There you go. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, and I hope everyone's having a fantastic Wednesday. Yes, it is hump day. And you know what? The market's been really, really strong today so far. Nvidia is starting to pull back in here. And you can see our positions on the board. But first, but not last, let's hop into what we were trading in Tesla. A bunch of break-even trades here. So you can see 1, 2, that was a small win. And then this one, we get more aggressive, small win. It was just chopping around, and we weren't having fun with that. So we just hopped out of there. Still forming these consistent lower highs. So just keep that in mind. Building this position into TQs, just like we did yesterday. We took attempt 1, got all out, pop, add, and then add a little bit more. Primary target going to be the volume-weighted average price, Sharif.
Okay, all right. A couple of trades right now, guys. Let's start with double D or triple D. Shut triple D, man.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Isn't that like a little, what is that what we call? Confluence?
Confluence.
Regarding our earlier conversation. Shout out to triple D, baby. It's up 19.5%, looking good here. Bull flag breakout. I perceive this to be bull flagging. And here's the breakout above 254. We got 7s on, waiting at 8s. We got 8s on now. On the level 2, posting at 9, posting at 60. Let's see what comes of this. We also got another trade on SKBL, south of $1, and trying to recover above the volume-weighted average price. This looks like a crazy double top. We got the initial 88 rejection, dropped all the way down to 55 pennies, but boom, goes the dynamite right back up to 91. Now we're somewhere in between. I'm long 74s and trying to scalp into the highs with a stop below current bar low. Current bar low is at 68 pennies, so I put my out at 6.7. Let's wet the beak here a little bit, see what we can get. Okay, we didn't get it because we didn't type in the right thing. Let's just go put 0.75, and we'll see if we can get that fill. So there's a whole bunch of small cap gapper-like names that are moving at the moment. So let's get right to them with the black chart. So first and foremost, Triple D, that's the one we're involved in. SKBL, bottom left of your screen. Those we've already discussed. There's some similar names. So SERV, obviously, Serve Robotics, not exactly a small cap gapper, but trading like one today. Awful lot of respect for the 10 EMA on the 5. I'll be basing my trades off that if I do weasel in. Also, Rich Tech Robotics, day 2 play. Remember this one yesterday started
Oh,
break.
no, it's going today again?
It is.
Man.
Are you not involved?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm like pretending like I'm involved.
Oh,
I'm not involved.
Yeah, no, I
because
figured
I
that's
thought
what
you
you
were
did.
excited, like you were watching this one for a hot minute.
I was talking to Jose this morning. I'm like, watch out for Rich Tech because it's on the daily. I don't know if you pulled up the daily yet, but multiple day breakout that we're experiencing.
Yeah,
here.
you're
So
absolutely
boom,
right,
look
bro.
at look at
and
that.
look at that technical breakout, Joey. Good call on that,
Yeah,
my guy.
exactly.
Look at that.
So a key break on that one. So yeah, continue. Good luck.
Yeah, I
Rich
mean,
Tech.
I'm not in it yet, Joe, but we'll definitely looking at it right now. Hold of VWAP. Looks like there's a buyer at 355. Stepping up back into that 373, 3 2/3 area. Obviously, the high of the day is double H's, 388. It's up 15.5%, as Joe mentioned. This is a continuation from yesterday because this thing was all sorts of strong into the afternoon yesterday. I want to say the bid really started catching, or the stock started catching a bid at around 12:30, and then we kind of closed out near the highs, and it ran as well into the aftermarket. In fact, making the high of the day in the aftermarket into that 330 area. So this is certainly on watch for me, but how we trade it really was going to depend on how it sets up. So the current trades we've got on, as I mentioned, SKBL. This one is trying to hold VWAP right now. We'll see how long I hold on to this. It's already breaking down into 73, but triple Ds. We'll leave this one active as well with this order here waiting at 248 for a possible pullback into the volume weighted average price. I see VWAP on my charts at 245. So that's all I'm really seeing right now. There's others. Criminal, I want to say, is got a bit of a bid. I mean, we're up 5 1/3. That's not exactly a glowing endorsement for Criminal. So if you do see any new small cap gappers that I don't have my eye on at the moment, I'd love to hear about them. I'm just scanning my scanner up top there, seeing if there's any new ones that have weaseled onto the scene, Joey. But it's kind of a light bunch today, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Adam. Yeah, good luck on those calls there, Dylan. I hope the best for you personally at the end of the day. It doesn't seem to be like those roles are reversed, but that's okay. I wish that those trades work out really, really well. Yeah, Adam, it's a tough look here, man. I'm keeping my eye on the mag, and the thing is, though, Meta is continuously selling, and then it's like, okay, what's going on with the TQs? And then we also experience a 50-cent pullback in NVDA. Doesn't really correlate with what we're seeing in the TQs. And then also Google heading back towards the volume weighted average price, but yet the TQs are still holding up strong. So what is going on? Market breadth? Maybe, it sounds like it. Tesla heading towards some key resistance. That's not quite the high of the day, but a pivot level above the volume weighted average price. Put that in the notes. Are we in a bull market today? It seems to be the case. You can see throughout the pre-market session, we were selling. Shortly after the open, selling. But now, it's like, oh, okay, V-shaped recovery. And Sharif and I were talking earlier, our guy Tom Lee, he's like, essentially almost everything is, because the amount of time that it takes for something to sell off, it's only about 1.5 times that to recover it and then put in some new highs as well, too. So some good stuff. Microsoft coming back in. And the reason why I usually talk about the MAG, especially when I'm involved into TQs, because they're so heavily influenced. It's about 40% of the market cap. So at the end of the day, we have to focus on what they're doing, because if they decide to go on a parabolic move, you're not going to be able to short the Qs. And that's the case.
Crazy.
Tesla breaking out right now, and we're out of that trade, so that's unfortunate. But let's see if we can wait and hope and get to VWAP here. But it doesn't seem like it wants to right now. Holding up really, really strong. Base at 90, 70, and holding up well.
Man, the chat, you asked from the chat, they deliver, man. I asked for a couple of small cap gappers that I didn't have my eye on, and you guys came through, man. Yeah, a couple of good ones here to update you guys on. That was quick, too. KITT, looking good here to the high side, up to $1.15. There's also ALLR. Let's start with ALLR. This is the first time I have a look at the chart. So this one was clearly running in the pre-market yesterday. Did it breach the pre-market high during the regular trading hours? The answer is yes. So this one got to 235. Very much an inside day today for ALLR, holding yesterday's lows, but well below yesterday's highs. I'm going to be looking for the 10 EMA here on ALLR. It seems to respect that. Anything below that, I'll look for that $1.50 psychological support as well as the volume weighted average price. It's up 11.89 on the verge of going 12. That's ALLR. KITT up 18.08%. Again, a light bunch today. This one's getting extended away from the, what's it called? The 10 EMA on the 5. It's the 10 EMA showing me 108 or 109. We got a high of 15, dropping down into 112 now. So KITT as well in play. It's just going to be where we get in, how we position ourselves. I'm looking here to see if this one keeps holding prior bar low. So you've got the basic prior bar low hold the entire day. Look at that. Even this consolidative area over here, the lows of these 4 candles, in fact, actually ended up holding 103. So you didn't even breach prior bar low. You haven't breached prior bar low since 10 a.m. when you got that volume spike there with about 450,000 shares per 5-minute candle. So that's what I'll be looking for. First prior bar low break. I'll look for a deeper retracement, possibly into the 10 EMA or the volume weighted average price. That's going to be my move here on KITT. ALLR, I'll keep an eye on that as well. But there you go. Triple frickin' D, taking out all my orders. I've got no orders left, so let's go ahead and post. The best beak wetter we got there was at 61s. Let's post at 62, and then we'll post at 63 as well. And I think, maybe we'll also post at 64.
Oh, I thought you were going to go 9s there. You got me, man. Dang it.
Nah. We got to get the 4s before we get the 9s, Joey. Obvious,
You got to get the 4s.
You guys in the chat are crazy. I love it. So that's what I'm looking at right now, man. Triple D doing its thing, 25, up 20.7%. But we're looking for more, especially with this one. Break even on this one now, SKLB. We got a bunch of beak wetters, but it is coming in to VWAP and or the 10 EMA, which the reason I say and or is because they're basically overlapping at the moment. So this is what I'll be looking for. But it probably behooves me to load up KITT if I want to execute on this, because you know how these ones don't spend a whole lot of time in any one area. I'm looking for a prior bar low hold. We're there right now. Prior bar had at 111 as the low. We are at 111 right now. Do we hold? I'm going to take an entry position at this level. Oh, come on. Give me 112s. Bro, I asked for 111s, man. I'm going to look for that 111 hold. If it breaks 111, I'm out. That's literally what I'll do. I'm going to give it 1 penny worth of risk, and that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Joey, show 'em what you got, baby.
No way, Jose. What's going on, Jose Villa? You're like my one friend there in the chat. He's like, all right, yeah, you'll talk Pierce smack and like, hey man, what do you think about this? I haven't seen him in.
Yeah, there's a guy like that too. There's I think his name is Oscar or
there's another guy. There's another guy in there.
He's always chirping me, but he's actually nice.
Yeah, he's chirping.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games.
It's fun and games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's see what we got going on, man. We got to hold on to this. I have the feeling that we're gonna have to Deontay Wilder this trade, and hopefully just to get into VWAP, because you can see that it doesn't look like it wants to break down. One thing to note that we have going for us is these consistent lower highs. So that is positive. Now, the objective is, can we break this key support level right now? Because we're continuously bouncing off it. Price starting to compress. It may go in one way. And if the mag wants to bounce, then watch out. You got to get out of that short. I know ADL's thinking the exact same thing as me. At least we're positioned relatively well, right? So our risk to reward is there, considering, excuse me, if you think it's the high of the day, then okay, that's our one R loss there, and then you get the high of the day, and then you get a little bit south of VWAP. That's going to be the optimal dream. That's going to give us a 2-to-1 roughly, but it doesn't look like it wants to go, which is all right. We'll figure something else. Crypto has been pretty good throughout the session. I did take a little move on IBIT. It's unfortunate that we didn't take more advantage of that. IBIT, and I was just kind of frustrated with myself because I didn't take more size. And then sure enough, here it is, boom, a nice move, holding that, a nice indecision print right at the volume weighted average price. And then we get this move and I'm like, all right, double top around this neck of the woods, let's hop out. And then nope, it says AC Slater, we're going the other way there, Joe. Yeah, so it's unfortunate we didn't get to participate in that, but it's okay. We'll find something else to trade, and we're gonna head back to the TQs because, I mean, consistent lower highs. Do we add a little bit more? I think so, but first I want to break through some support level, and obviously I want to see the volume pick up as well too. So those are two key factors in which we need to add to this position, all right? So that's what I got going on, Shree.
All right, Joey, that makes sense, man. Shout out to Bovin bringing to my attention another one. I want to bring this to your attention, but I'm going to wait on it before executing. PNTM, Bovin telling me about platinum, no, it's not platinum. Titanium Limited? Sure, whatever. PTNM is the ticker. It has got a $33 million market cap. Let's go to the 5. That is the 5 right there. Hold on. Oh, that's right. It's not showing me pre-market data because I took it off for Joey yesterday. So let's include that pre-market data right there. There we go. That makes a lot more sense. So what I was saying above in was I'm waiting for this stock to break through 169er. And the reason I say that is because that is a pre-market high. We printed that at 8:05 a.m. and it wasn't an institutional print. It was actually based on volume. So I have a rule. If you're just watching for the first time, I don't trade pre-market. I don't trade these small cap gappers if they're below the pre-market high, or they're below VWAP, which will always be the white line. Here we go, though. We're at 64s. The high of the day technically is 67s that we just printed. Remember, 69 is the level. But I've seen this story before where we get into that level and then we're going to drop back down aggressively, because if I'm looking at it, there's much better traders that are also looking at this level as well. So here we go. We're getting some selling into the high. Makes absolute sense. This is a good one, Bub. It's 63%. Put some dang respect on this one's name. It's about which name we're going to take off the side chart over here. LWLG just lost its spot. Sorry, buddy. PTNM is going to take your spot there and eat your lunch. Ooh. And we're going to have to put that ticker on there so everybody can follow along, Joey Options. So that's what I'm keeping my eye on right now, guys. We're in 3 trades, but certainly interested in taking one here. Shout out to the OG Bovin, a.k.a. my other pair of eyes. All right, going back to KITT, one quick beak wetter there at 14s. It did get into 15 where I have my next profit taker. Alas, though, it did not cross on the ask, so we do not get printed. Let's take a quick look at our triple D trade. Looking good over here, but no new prints. No new prints. No new prints into 262. Looking for some new prints there. SKBL generally holding the 10 EMA on the 5 and trying to curl. That's the good news. What's the bad news on SKBL? Well, we're getting lower highs, generally lower highs. So that's what I'm looking for there. The seller who's been selling below this 80 penny area to get outdone by the buyers. It still hasn't happened. We'll see if it happens. So keeping an eye on all 3 of these, as well as PNTM, guys.
Absolutely. All right, PSNY for the individual in the chat. He said he wants you to see this one, Shreve. Oh. Polestar.
I'm involved in that
one. Okay, he's involved in that one. Bang!
Bro, I'm 1,000 shares deep into this thing at 87 pennies.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, dinner on my guy. Let's go.
It's an $870 investment that I'm hoping to 10 bag.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's all you need, man. $1,000, 10 bagger. If my math, no, I'm not even gonna try to do that anyways, embarrass myself. But hey, that's what we got going on. What's up, Katina, man?
How's it going there, Katina, man? Pretty good. Yeah? How's that Nvidia trade? I saw you celebrating there, brother.
All right, just watch this. Just watch your.
Talking $4.
Just watch your step around here. Yeah, I got it. All right. You got a banana on your shirt.
You've told me to have a banana before.
Look, you got but you got it on your shirt.
That's okay. Leave him alone, bro. Stop bullying everybody.
I'm not
trying to bully Katina, man, bro.
That's my guy, man. He knows what's up, brother. Yeah, I just let him know, because you know when you're walking down Yonge Street, anything can happen, right? And then boom, next thing you know.
What are you trying to apply, Joey Options?
I'm nothing. I'm not applying anything. I'm not applying anything, but you know what I'm getting at the end of the day. So never do Math 5. Yeah, no, I've learned my lesson on that one, because I'm obviously, clearly, as you guys can tell, I'm not the best at it. But hey, it is what it is. That's what calculators are for. And remember, in high school, our teacher said you will never have a calculator in your pocket. So you have to learn how to do this stuff. I remember, so back in the day, I used to go to Kumon. I don't know if you remember what Kumon was. Math English. Yeah. So I did that at a very, very young age. And if you wrote down any multiplication number times whatever, I could write it down. But now that
seriously,
anything. Yeah, I am no longer.
All right.
And I'm talking. No, brother, I can't do it anymore.
12 times 12.
No, I'm not even gonna go.
You know which 144. Come on
anyways,
now.
I'm not doing that. That's anyway. What I'm getting at is, if you wrote it down, I would boom, 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 and I would go through all the steps. But those days are long past. Yeah.
Daryl LePage.
Oh, I didn't get that there.
Here about CoreWeave, guys. Nice little bounce. They did attend Deutsche Bank's technology conference. They did a presentation at 11 a.m. I'm just seeing a little note here of the summary of these events. Apparently, they signed expansion contracts with their existing customers in the hyperscaler space. Over the last 8 weeks, they're seeing that as an indication of quote-unquote robust demand. So CoreWeave here, again, we got this little pop when these notes came out, a little bit after that 11 a.m. presentation at Deutsche Bank's technology conference. CRWV, again, this will be on watch as well, as discussed, this morning on the desk with Sharif and Brendan. CoreWeave will be on watch with Nvidia earnings tonight, too. Back to you.
Good luck. What was I going to touch on? Yeah. Oh, wow. IonQ absolutely going nuts here. Yeah, this thing is going crazy today. That's nice. Let's see where the rest of the RGTI, some of the other quantum names are up to. And this is what I'm going to talk about here momentarily. QUBT. See what that one's up to. Okay, that one's a little bit more choppy. But I'm looking at the Qs, guys. We might be in trouble on this short, big time. Microsoft looking like it wants to bull flag, and you can see it starting to form. So there it is, some pre-market levels, bull flag pattern off of this. And this market is such a pain. If I was
Joey.
If I was at home on my desk, it'd be like, dude,
throwing slippers?
Oh, it would be a hat throw on the ground. It would be everything. You ever see that one video of the tight coach? So these football kids are trying to run through, you know how they break through the picture? Yeah, and all the little kids, they run the wrong way and they run into each other running into this thing, and the coach is in the background and just slams the hat down.
Did you ever watch the movie Little Giants with Ed O'Neill, Al Bundy?
No.
It's like he finally got his football movie that he won.
Yeah.
So Little Giants, it's like the actual Pee-wee football league. There's the Cowboys that are run by Al Bundy in the movie, and they're like the best players in the town. I think they called it Urbania in the movie. And then there's the Little Giants that are all like the leftovers. I don't want to call anybody bad words. So they're all like non-football players. So when they're trading, they're all like running into each other.
It's not good.
Shout out to Little Giants.
But yeah, that's what I got going on. Again, risk is going to maintain the same here, just the high of the day. I mean, you may as well. If I'm willing to lose it, then just stick to the plan. You either get the breakout or you don't. So, yeah. And it's not looking like we're going to get that breakdown here today. We're going to be extremely patient. Microsoft heading back towards those highs. And if it decides to do that, then see you later to the short on the Qs. And no, I don't feel like I'm always counter trend. I think it's actually rather the opposite. I try to catch as many trends as possible, but much easier said than done.
All right, Joey. All right, so we're dipping down here into KIT, right into the volume weighted average price. So I don't know what to do with this one, whether to add into the, or to get back in because we got stopped out into this one. It's at VWAP. I'm going to get in because it's at a good technical area. If it loses 104, that's going to be my line in the sand. So let's just go ahead and put that in now. I was taking prints as well here nicely on SKLB, but this one is having real trouble breaking through 80. I think I'm just going to pack my patience. I have my stop where I want it. I've taken out the prints to de-risk a little bit over here, but let's just wait and see, because SKBL, we got some nice prints on it, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be able to take out that local area high. I might be wrong. Let's give it a try. Okay, Triple D still doing its thing, and a nice bounce here off KIT. Let's take that print there, set up at 9s and 10s as well. Look to make some money back on this one, as we did give some back, obviously, with that dip down. So that's what we're gonna do. Throwing out orders there, stops in place, ready to go. How's the other trade, Triple D, doing? Okay, no new prints, but holding near highs, not a bad look on that one. Let's load up PNTM as well. Sorry, where was my PNTM trade? Let me just organize myself here. Okay, so we're going to change from quadruple U from yesterday into PTNM, PTNM. Not on the MX, I believe it's on the Nasdaq. Yes, I'm right. So 167 high. We still haven't breached, though, Bovin, that 169 high from the pre-market. So I'm going to put an alert on my platform here for that 168 so that I'm made aware of it a little bit ahead of time. I'm still very interested on PTNM just because it's up nicely. Sorry, Assassino? Other than Mike, my bad, my mistake. So let's see what we get on this one. I'm just gonna pack my patience. Criminal as well, CRML. It's not up big, but it's a former convict. You guys know how this one is. It ran yesterday. It's been running for days. Very much an inside day today. It was putting a whole bunch of higher highs, and then here we go, boop. all the way down to 715. Lo and behold, that 715 level happens to be the volume weighted average price. We're catching a bit of a bid. So possible entry here on CRML. I'm not going to jump into it. I've got 3 positions on that I need to manage, and I'm keeping my eye on PTNM. So that should keep me plenty busy. Back to KITT, several prints out so far, but that 10 print still goes unprinted. We go up to 10s, we don't cross, we don't get the fill. Simple as that. So that's what we're focusing on, the 3 names and the 4th that I'm waiting to execute on Joey options.
Bang. All right, so that's why we added into this position right here, just because I'm feeling some type of way.
Why is Polestar up this much?
Yeah. So, Adair, was that you on the bang?
She doesn't have bang up there,
she don't have bang up there. Anyway, shout out to Rich Homie Kwan and RIP. Shout out to everyone, all the fans in Atlanta as well too. But yeah, there we go, guys. We add again to this position, looking for this breakdown. So we're going to be patient. If we can crack 90, 70, I think anything south of that, it'd be wrong for me not to start taking some profits out. So this bull flag coming into play, slightly starting to cool down. Now, I mean, running into NVDA's earnings report, I told you I grabbed a couple shares, nothing substantial whatsoever, just to see if we can get that pop. If it drops, then we're just going to lock it, and then that's it. We'll close that, because it's just more or less trying to play the volatility within there and whatever buying power I have left. So nice little bear flag on TXN. Yeah, I was listening to some stuff on TXN yesterday as well too. Just how they increased their investment in America. So good there on our guy, Commerce Secretary, Mr. Lutnick. He's killing it, man. I really like that guy after listening to what he's been up to and stuff. So Oclo, we'll take a look at OKLO. Is it okay though on the LO, on the lows? Yeah, on the low, this is looking really okay. So nice trade there, guys. Not too bad, slightly choppy price action, and it looks like there's some liquidity issues as well too, but that's irrelevant when you're continuously appreciating, right? So not too bad of a good look, or not too bad of a look right there. Now let's take a look at the chain, because I haven't even since we've opened, and today we got earnings report. And one thing I will add, considering that we haven't grown in substantial size on NVDA, I like our chances for a rip. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. Do I want to be? No. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. So before I mentioned this, we've seen a lot of open interest at specific strike prices where we can look at potential call walls, and that's not the case today. 85,000, 86,700 isn't anything substantial in my opinion, considering we've seen 100,000, 200,000, etc. So that's that. Even through 90, it's like that's level. So this might be small potatoes for Jensen and company come the report, and it just blows everything through the water, exceeds that expected move, and then it's an absolute party. So I'm going to be sticking around because we've got positions to manage on that one, but NVDA at the money IV 104%.
Joey, I got to let everybody know SKBL is breaking out. We got all the prints we wanted here. So here we go. We're coming into the high of the day. 91 pennies on the dot is that HOD. This is sub $1 name. Where did we go to? We just got to 89 and a third pennies. Yes, we have to count the third, the fifth, the half, the 3/4 when it's sub $1. So here we go. We're still zagging, doing our thing 25 with that 88 penny. Can't clear that 90. It's up 60%. I've got all the prints that I wanted. Now I'm going to wait for that dollar area because it's an entirely different trade in and around that dollar area. But I do expect a little bit of chop on our way there. Now, so what I'm trying to see here is whether a pattern of note is manifesting here on the chart, given all the zigs and the zags. So I feel like I'm onto something here. So there is definitely a seller in and around 90. Let's say 89 to 91, okay? That 90-ish area. So that's a flat top. To me, every time we work up into that area, we're selling off. Great. Now, what's the other side of the equation? What do the lows tell me? Well, the lows are telling me higher lows. In fact, successively higher lows, not zigging and zagging. So you got this area trough over here, that rounded bottom into 56 pennies. Then you have a 72 penny hold, and then you have a 76 penny hold. So this could be a flat top break through the high. Doesn't mean it will be. It just means that it might be, right? We're trying to put the odds on our side. Nothing is for sure here. So keeping my eye on that. And going to pack my patience there. No beak wetters on this one. I'm going to let this one run. Let's have a look at our friend Triple D. Oh, baby. We got a 62 print there on Triple D. But it's a hard trade over here because we're really unable to kind of make any aggressive new highs. That 62 print does take us into new high, but you can see it dips down right back into 60, showing 59 as well on the bid. So certainly selling there. How's KITT doing? KITT. I've been trying to, pick some up off the area lows. A VWAP retracement all the way down into 106. What do we have? 107s. I've wet the beak here a few times, but that seller at 10, geez Louise, a staunchy little bugger. So I don't know how to feel about this one, right? I've seen this situation before where we, bounce nicely off that volume weighted average price only to kind of put in lower highs and I get suckered into the trade. So I'm going to scalp up more here at disadvantageous levels. That's really all I can do. So that's the look there. I've got nothing else on, guys. I'm keeping my eye on Rich Tech Robotics. Rich Tech is actually dropping down below the volume weighted average price, so this one might lose its spot momentarily here on the side chart. But there is this STSS that I did bring to your attention earlier, and the reason that I took it off is because it lost VWAP, but now it's reclaimed that level. Even though it's reclaimed it, though, take a look at what's operative, right? We're still putting aggressively lower highs, even though we are putting higher lows. So we are doing what looks like to be a bull pennant. Now, whether this one ends up breaking out through the top and maybe, printing another bull pennant or bull flag, your guess is as good as mine. I'm not going to take that risk with a $16 price tag on the small cap gapper. So if you guys trade this one, let me know how it goes. Otherwise, I'm not interested at this price. Joey, I'm flattening out KITT as I just don't like what I see here. So we'll take the rest break even on that and scalp out a little bit more. What do you got, my man?
Absolutely. All right, guys, we're still sitting in this name. God. Like this is an absolute brick wall here at 90.67. Like for me personally, this is so frustrating because it's like, okay, why can't it just break through the lows? But then I look at Microsoft and it's running and some of the other bigger names. So we got to be really, really patient. It's going to be more of a grind, I think, in this in order for us to break. And then also you can just look at the volume. There's nothing really supporting the break either. And that's what I talk about when we're trading breakouts. You need that supporting, whether it's to the downside or to the top side, right? And in this case, doesn't seem to want to. So gonna have to pack our patience on that.
Bro, that's crazy, Joe.
What's that, brother?
This is crazy. How many times are we gonna have to see this headline, bro?
How many?
I don't know, man, but that's crazy, Joe.
Yeah, man, that's so messed up.
Yeah, there's been another school shooting, guys. Sorry to say, in Minneapolis, Adira.
Yeah, we're gonna take a moment here to talk about crypto. Let's take a look here at BTC, hanging out around that 112,000 level. Now, this is significant because this was that all-time high that we made in May of 25. We held it as support back in early August and back again last week. This week, though, a little bit of a support resistance issue. We're going to look at Ethereum as well because I'm just seeing here the inflows for Ethereum actually for yesterday, $455 million in daily net inflows. That is their fourth consecutive day of positive inflows, and it definitely dwarfs the inflows of Bitcoin in comparison. So yesterday, Ethereum with that $455 million in inflows, ETHA leading the way, but Bitcoin ETFs only saw $88.2 million in inflows. That's actually the second time in this week. So I guess the second of two times this week on Monday and Tuesday with Ethereum ETFs surpassing Bitcoin in net inflows. So interesting stuff there. Ethereum, as you can tell as well, a little bit stronger looking than BTC on the daily chart. Could this be, we did have Tom Lee, who of course is involved on the board of BMNR, Bitmine Immersion, which has the Ethereum treasury. We know that Tom Lee has said Ethereum could eventually surpass Bitcoin. These inflows, which show that, I guess interest in Ethereum usurping that of Bitcoin, paints a pretty interesting picture with all that in context, guys. Let's see if Ethereum can break another new all-time high. Cracking that 5,000 would be a pretty good look. Back to you.
All right, get it. Thank you, Adair. Joey.
Get it, JB.
Looks like you're printing on that latest short.
I was. But see, everything just keeps getting bought right back up, and that's the difficulties in it. So if Microsoft continues to bleed here, and see, one thing that I'll note is that, okay, yeah, we didn't put in a new high, and now we're heading towards this support level. So if it cracks on Microsoft, I like our chances. But then it's like, okay, that's the toughest thing about trading the overall market. It's such a push and pull because you have NVDA moving higher and then Microsoft moving lower, and it's just like, okay. And then you get the rotation. It's like, okay, a couple of them are selling, but then they rotate into a couple of the other big names. They start ripping. It brings the Qs up. And whoever's moving on a larger percentage metric is going to have more of an influence on the actual TQs as well, right? So just keep that in mind. Sometimes I'm just thinking in my head, like, should I just sometimes just cut it out when we're kind of in this push and pull state in the overall market? And I think that's the case that we are in, considering that Microsoft. Let's take this thing to the daily, and see, that's what I'm talking about. You look at Tesla's at VWAP, Meta's hovering around the lows, Microsoft selling, but then what is dragging the Qs higher? And it has to be Apple, Google, etc., right? So let's pull this up and take a look at it from a daily standpoint. And there it is, boom. Oh, that's a weekly. Wow, it works. I'm surprised. So yeah, that was crazy. But yeah, yeah, exactly. So there it is. But also potential stopping price action right here. You can see a bunch of indecisions on Microsoft, and from that previous peak, that previous all-time high at the low, we were down 10%, right? So just keep that in mind. And there it is. You're getting the buy back up in the overall market. So it's unfortunate that that was the case. And I said earlier, if you get anything south of this support level, you got to take some off. But the volume started to pick up, and I'm like, okay, I like my chances for an additional leg lower. No, I'm looking at this now as a liquidity grab so that it can now punch through some of these prior resistance and continue its ascent to the top side there, Shreve.
All right, guys. Someone earlier asked, I forget who it was, asked me to look at Domo, D-O-M-O. This is a name that I've had on my FinTech DeFi watch list going for years now. So it is one that I've been keeping my eye on for a while, and I think we're starting to get a nice technical breakout. We'll look more at this in detail on the daily when we get back from Madeira.
Paradigm setting this one as a long idea, saying that tech's old guard is making a comeback. IBM is at day's highs right now, even before we got that story coming out. So not a bad look here for IBM, as again, Paradigm says this one could be an idea for a long. Back to you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Adair. All right, here we go. I've got to digress. SKBL, new high a day. Here comes 91. It's a 92 penny high a day now. So we did take out that previous area high. Do we have the continuity here, though, to get into that dollar? I still am holding a piece here of SKBL in anticipation of that dollar touch and drop, which is what I'm assuming will happen. But we're stair-stepping up. We're up into 92 pennies. We've got 74s on at the moment. I'm packing my patience here. SKBL could have the juice to let this one loose above the buck if you're into small cap gappers. Here we go, 92. Now it's a 93 area high. Okay, I see you, SKBL. We're going to get to DOMO in a second, but I just want to see if this one's going to get into that dollar or, you know, it's just going to make me wait a little bit. It looks like it's going to be a waiting game on this one, which is fine. All right, so let's get back to DOMO. Obviously, you're coming from much higher highs, you know, from those pandemic era highs. And, you know, some of these stocks may never recover into the pandemic area highs. So here we go, Joey. We got to as high as, this is back August of 21, $96 and change, 98.35. We are at a high today of 17.75. So this is the weekly. First and foremost, you're above the 200 moving average now on the weekly. Let's go down to the daily. You cleared that 200 on the daily some time ago. In fact, it's well below the level here at 11.25. In addition to that, you took out area highs. I mean, look at these areas from back in January of 24, all going all the way back into July of 23. We are back into July of 23 levels. So this is a good recovery here on DOMO. Riding the wave kind of with DeFi and FinTech with Hood and SoFi and all these names breaking out. I like this. It looks like an upward channel and or a bull flag. This is the daily. It's up 9% today. Ride the trend, baby. Yeah. That's all I can say to that. DOMO, fantastic look here, Joey Options.
Good look there. And to the individual pointing out Rich Tech Robotics, really great call out. It's unfortunate that I'm late to this dance here now because that hammer candle right below the volume weighted average price, a really positive signal. And I would have liked to get involved in this name, considering the past 3 sessions have been absolutely phenomenal. So a nice breakout on the daily. And then also note this, guys, look at how we go back to mid-August, the 22nd here, and just look at the volume throughout this. There's nothing there. You kind of it's a lot of algo trading, and then sure enough, boom, as you're breaking out, the volume really starts to kick in, and then you get some nice price action, a breakout day here, and then sure enough, we're continuing its trend. A beautiful print right at the volume-weighted average price, and 365 and change running. So yeah, that's what it is. I'm probably going to hop out of this TQs just to save the mental capital. It's irrelevant, right? It essentially be a break-even trade, and there it goes, right? So yeah, enough of that game. Enough of shorting this market right now. If it doesn't want to break down, I'm just going to hop out, take a small loss. It's essentially a break-even trade. But once I recognize this failed breakdown, I should have been out right away. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Anyway, so we're just going to be patient, wait for the next trade. Full disclosure, I am slightly frustrated right now, but that's okay. Woo-saw, 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 and then we just take deep breaths. So yeah, just can't get anything super rolling how we usually tend to. So I'm going to take a look at some of the top volume stocks on today's session to see what we got kicking up. And leading the way is Nvidia, of course, with $85.8 million. Walgreen Boots Alliance with that buyout as well too, and then Palantir with 35 million shares. Ooh, a nice signal right at the lows here. Let's pull this up for you guys so you can see what I'm talking about. Palantir continuously selling, but then a nice indecision print off of those lows. So that's not too bad of a look. Are you kidding me?
What happened? Bro, it's super choppy.
Brother,
don't get frustrated, bro. You cannot allow this to frustrate you,
Something just came into the market because it decided to tank. But I mean, what are the chances of that?
That's so
the minute after I'm like, yo, I'm getting out of this, and then it decides to put in an insane volatility
really
spike.
annoying.
So essentially what that is just pouring salt in the wound and then just looking in my face and laughing at the end of the day. But that's crazy. Nice volatility spike in the market.
Yeah, it's okay, Joey.
Yeah,
all good, brother.
That's what it is.
Guys, we're continuing to watch here. Triple D. It's taken out the levels. We got the beak wetter there at 64. We weren't posted at 65. We're now posted at 65 all the way up into 69. So Triple D continues to stair step up. Shout out to my man, Mike P. DeRider in the chat. It looks like he's involved in this bad boy as well. It's not a rocket ship or anything like that, guys, but it is putting up those patterns. And what I see, my observation for Triple D here on the 5-minute is ridiculous amounts of respect for the 10 EMA. I mean, Joey, we haven't had one single breach of the 10 EMA since 9:30 onward. It's been pulling back into it at times, and every time it does, it's been bought up. So yeah, 22% and going here on Triple D. We'll continue to keep an eye out on this one. I want to bring your attention ALLR. So this one had a fantastic day yesterday. It did dip quite aggressively. Let me just put that on the side chart. I don't think it's loading properly. Oh, it is. Bizarre. Okay, so that was a fake print there, so negate everything that I had to say about that, because it was showing me that it was halted, but it wasn't halted. Wow, Joseph,
yes, sir. I
missed that. There goes SKBL into 98. This is what we were waiting for there, 77%. Let's see if we can get into that dollar. 96 now. 97 showing up. Here we go. Coming back into that high. No, seller at 97. Back into 97. Can we see 98s momentarily? SKBL trying to weasel its way into that dollar area. I'm going to flatten out here, and then we'll look to get more in at the dollar area if and when it does get into that area. So SKBL, good look. And if you're interested in small cap gappers, you got one here knocking the door of 100%, about 80 some odd percent in the green territory. So good luck for SKBL. Let's see if this one's got more juice to the high side here. I'm really intently watching this one at the dollar. It becomes a different trade here. And again, let me explain why. Obviously, you have a lot of different areas you can post at south of the dollar, right? Because you're 4 decimal places, so you can post at like 98 and a quarter, 98 and a half, 98 and a third, etc. You guys get it, right? So obviously a lot more thickly traded south of the dollar. In addition to that, there are certain algorithms, big money algorithms, that won't trade these small cap gappers if they're below that dollar. They'll get turned on automatically once and if the price ascends above the dollar. So it does become, I don't want to say a more liquid trade. Clearly it's liquid. It's done 51 million shares, but you get a nice a nice push, a tailwind here. Here is that 99 penny, Joey. Here we go. 99. Can we get to the dollar? The dollar is now the high of the day. So SKBL taking out highs. Let's see now if it can weasel its way into that dollar area and stay above the dollar so we can trade this one all sorts of size at that dollar area, despite the fact that we had a lot of volume, a lot of buy volume into that dollar area. Looks like there was a hidden seller, an iceberg order at the dollar to be expected, though, on a name like this. We'll keep an eye on this one, 98 pennies right now, looking for that dollar.
Yeah, there it is, guys. So thanks for pointing that out. That's what everyone there in the chat is for, right? Just what a complete collective unit we are. Google, Adair, I don't know if you've seen anything on this, but look at this volume. Look at this volume. Look at this candle starting to be printed. So we might have to get involved if this closes as a hammer. The thing is, the risk profile is relatively wide. So at the high, we got 208, and around the low, we have 206. So that's $2 exactly, almost to the penny on Google that you can see this print. So that's a massive volume and can explain a lot of what was going on in the overall market.
So the most recent thing I'm seeing on Google is from an hour ago. It's just a CNBC piece saying that even if they lose their search deals, they could actually fuel their AI growth. So again, I want to clarify that is also from more than an hour ago. So nothing new on Google, but that is, I guess, interesting. Just again, people opining on what might happen depending on the antitrust decision, which we're expecting, I believe, later this week, more likely early next week.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.
You know,
Joey Presley.
1 second.
All right.
Yeah, I know you got something going on there. Someone asked in the chat, Mark Perezi. There it is. That's a hammer candle right there. So it kind of closes as a sludge hammer. That's what we're referring to. That's VPA 101. Beautiful isolated volume signature, and that hammer breaks the top end. We might get long on that one.
All right. Bovin scores again. Bovin scores a lot around here, man. Let me tell you. TRVI, Bovin, you did it again. Bovin, you did it again. Oh, this is fantastic, Bovin. What the hell is this? I see you kill me, brother. Trevi Therapeutics. Bovin, this is not technically a small cap gapper as a result of this 12% price spike, because now we're hovering around a billy market cap. Let me throw this in because it's not updating the price for me. Here we go. So it's an 836 high a day. Why is the candle not reflecting the high of the day? All right, here we go. We're back down into 8 1/3. This is good, Bovin. I don't have a reason why this is moving up. In fact, I don't even have a news headline on this today. They're all from yesterday. Let me look at the daily. This is the daily on TRVI. It's been a good looking stock, man, lately. So it doesn't seem like it's around just for a good time like most of these ones are. So Bovin, I'm going to keep this on my side chart. There's a new high day, 856 now. This one keeps going. All right, so now it probably behooves us to take a look at the level 2 on this to see what is up with the spread, because it's moving quite aggressively. So it's not a bad spread, Joey Options. 2 pennies, 1 penny right now. It's a decent spread into the high, 14.5%. Do we get that continuity above the $0.50? There's a lot of zig and zag. We're far away removed from VWAP and the 10 EMA. The 10 EMA is at 788, VWAP's at 795. We're printing 850s over here. So yeah, there is room for this to pull back, but it could keep going. So I'm going to keep my eye on this one for certain. It's about who's going to lose their spot on the side chart here, man. Criminal, you're out. TRVI has replaced you. You have been removed. So let's throw in that ticker TRVI so everybody can follow along.
No, right away, eh?
Right, straight to jail. Straight to jail.
Yeah, right away.
No, sometimes you got to be a bit more patient, Joe Abishers. All right, huge seller here, Assassino, at 860. There is 2,200 lots from what I could just see at 60. Okay, that was posted. I didn't see what gateway. You guys can rewind YouTube and actually look to see what gateway was posted at, but there was about 2,200, if not more, lots at 860. Look at that aggressive drop off 860 down to 8 1/3 now. Let's pack our patience with this one. I needed to settle down, man. I don't like punching in at these highs. I feel like I'm flying blind here. Like this could mean revert on me at any moment. That that does worry me. So I'm going to keep my eye on this one, Joey. Let's see if it sets up a little bit better.
Absolutely, yeah, Gore, man. I told you, brother. Let's go. Nice work there. That's what I was saying. It looked like it was going to break. It just kept holding those levels. And then sure enough, you're getting that pop now, and it's helping drag the market up, no questioning that. But then also we have the likes of Google. So I'm glad that you're involved in this. I could probably tell you where Gore's starting to get involved. So we'll pull that up. But Google's starting to hold these levels relatively well. And I think that we can continue to climb. There has to be some form of news that we don't know just yet, because this amount of volume.
Let me look, Joey.
Yeah, and then that candle, there has to be something going on. I won't be convinced otherwise. But again, I could be totally wrong. Let's go, Ishcoin.
Is this new? Adara, did you see this headline? Google might lose its $26 billion.
Yeah. She mentioned that one. Yeah.
It's an hour old. Yeah, it is. I got it 11. Okay, let's see when I first got it. I have no idea when.
It's 11:40 is when that spike.
I got it 10:25. So she's absolutely right.
Yeah,
I got it 10:25. It's 11:50 right now. So this is a little old, Joey.
Yeah, for sure. So there it is. Bull flag on TQs, right? So bang, you just got to get out of that. My hunch was right, even though we did get that volatility spike to the downside. This is pure liquidity grab. If you want to talk about pure of anything, that's what this. I believe this is through some key support levels. You grab every individual who's are long, I guess, from that, or short, having their stop there, and then boom, long. See you later. We're gonna climb. So that was a really nice bull flag on the TQs. Microsoft continuing to climb higher. So I'm gonna go over the mag. We're involved in Bitcoin. I'll pull up that chart here, and you can see that I'm getting really, really aggressive. So when I feel that type of way, I just continuously add into this position. I do like the hammer right at the volume weighted average price. So hopefully we can get this one rocking and rolling, because we like Elvis. What a shame, man. What a talent he was. How old was he when he died?
Are you talking about Elvis?
Yeah.
Is that?
No, I don't think that was. I don't think so. Right? No.
I don't know, brother, but I think he like, remember people said he didn't die when he actually did die, and then people kept seeing him in different areas.
Oh yeah.
You never ended up watching those like documentaries with your parents that Elvis is still alive?
Yeah, I mean they say the same thing about Tupac. Like people are still seeing like Tupac around places and stuff like that, which is obviously not necessarily true. Remember when they were doing the hologram concerts?
Yeah, people got emotional. People were crying. Because like they thought the hologram was him.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's not him.
It's not him.
Just,
you can see
put your hand through it. No, I don't mean to make fun of anybody.
42.
But for real though.
42.
Yeah, Elvis had a. He obviously had substance abuse issues.
Yeah, but that's like part of that era, which is crazy. All the smack that everyone.
Wild. The 70s were wild, bro. Just ask for James.
Yeah.
He'll tell you all sorts of stories.
Like
no, he's not around no more. May he rest in peace. Shout out to Rick James.
Oh.
Neil didn't want to wear it. I brought it for Neil, and he's like, "Look, man, that ain't my brand, baby." But I'm like, "All right, keep it over here." No worries. All right, here's the deal, Joey. We're still watching here TRVI because I'm really interested now with this one coming a little closer to that VWAP area. So VWAP now on TRVI at 817, 818. We're pulling into that 8.25. So a lot more. I don't know. This looks like a little bit better, to be quite honest. We're gonna pause for a second and send you to Adara for breaking news.
Keep an eye here on this NTR and MOS. That would be Nutrien and Mosaic Co. So I'm seeing some news here, some headlines floating around. Apparently, a GOP senator is seeking to include phosphate as a critical mineral. We know critical minerals have been on watch. I checked MP on USAR on this. They didn't really move, but MOS and NTR on watch, notably MOS here, as again, we're seeing reports that a GOP senator is looking to include phosphate as a critical mineral. Back to you.
Alrighty.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, let's see what we got going on here. But we'll do it again, right? Because why not? Because shout out to Why Not in the chat. You just gotta live that way sometimes. You just go out and do things. So yeah, I mean, these aren't like the most massive ads. I'm just trying to build this position around the volume weighted average price. But regardless, right? We're just trying to add into something, and hopefully we can get this trend rocking and rolling so that we can head towards the high of the day. And if we get 64s, that's beautiful. But I don't want to be too optimistic right now. We obviously need the thesis to start working and crack through some key support level or resistance levels. We have those consistent lower highs, which is something that we have to be slightly alarmed about. But I do like our chances just because of these specific signals right at VWAP. We have multiple of them, so a nice indecision, and then also we had a nice strong initial drive here throughout the early morning of the session. So positive in the crypto space. Ethereum not looking too bad either. Continue to climb, baby. Just grind higher. Just continue grind. I'm not gonna say that because I don't want that. No, I was gonna say the other one. Grind on me. Yeah,
it's pretty Ricky, right?
Ricky, yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
So shout out to all those, but shout out to Pharrell for grinding.
Yeah, man, there's too many.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff there. But in all seriousness, guys, let's see if we can cook this up. We break this level right here. We're going to be pretty good. 63,
the rider's like, good Lord.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
Yeah,
I know
sorry,
you gotta deal with us singing. I know we don't bust out the vocals like some other people, but we do what we can.
Yeah, we try.
All right, I want to cover Polestar because you guys keep tagging me about Polestar. I'm not going to trade Polestar because it's not a small cap gapper. It's a $3.25 billion market cap, but I'm invested in the name and I'm very interested to know why the hell it's up 27% today. And I know it's reporting, so let's just get right to it. We're gonna talk about what we're expecting, for the report. I don't know how I feel about this, especially when something runs up strong into earnings. Sometimes it's to sell the news event, and I'm not gonna sell it, okay? I'm just gonna hold on to it. To me, it's a buyout candidate. It's owned by Geely, which owns Volvo. Volvo owns Polestar. It's a whole thing, okay? So anyway, so PSNY is expected to show a rise in quarterly revenue when it reports on August 29th. So we got a couple of days for the period ending June 30th of 25. The company is expected to report an 11.9% increase in revenue to $641 million, up from $572 and 2/3 a year ago, according to estimates. The mean analyst estimate for Polestar Holdings is a loss of 14 pennies per share. So they're by no means profitable, and they probably won't be. Very few electric vehicle companies are profitable, as we know. Tesla, one of the only ones. The current average analyst rating on the shares is sell, and the breakdown of recommendations is no strong buy or buy with 3 holds and 3 sell or strong sell. No strong sells either. The mean earnings estimate of analysts was unchanged in the last 3 months. Wall Street's median 12-month price target for Polestar is $1.50. About 26% above its last closing price of 111. Obviously, it is at 142 right now, so 150 a lot closer. So I don't know why Polestar is getting bought up, whether it's insider buying or whether it's options market. Maybe we'll get Joey when he's not busy to have a look at the options and then possibly give us a take of what the market is theorizing there. But I have no idea why Polestar is running up, but they do report in a couple of days. And if you're interested in the name, it probably behooves you to listen to the call. I know I will. They do have weird earnings releases as well. I'm pretty sure they're pre-market, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to double check that though. So that's it. That's all I've got right now. I'm still holding. I know the position board went out, but I'm still holding Triple D. I should be adding here because it's a pullback into the 10 EMA, but yeah, I should be adding here, Joey. So I think I'm gonna
do it.
Should I?
Yeah, why not?
I'm already up on it, right?
I've been adding like a madman over here.
Boy.
I got another ad over here.
I'm going to add because it's in the 10 EMA.
Yeah, all right.
That's it. All right, let's post up at 63, see if we can get something in and around that level. I'm still really interested in trading TRVI, guys. Where the hell is it? There we go. So now the current 5-minute candle is above prior bar low. The prior bar, so I'm talking about this candle right here, actually held VWAP to the T right at 818, 816, something like that. So we're not making new highs, but we also got higher lows on this current 5-minute candle holding at 8.25. So I'm still interested on this name, but I need to see a bit more whether or not this candle closes above or below the prior area low. That's going to be of real interest to me here. I also want to bring your attention to KITT. I was involved in this one earlier on. I got out as it wasn't holding the 10 EMA, but it did find support at the volume weighted average price. And look at it make area highs again, right into 112, showing 110 right now, up 15% and change. So another possible one here. And then the one Bovin brought to me earlier that I refuse to trade because it's still below the pre-market high. Look at this, Bovin. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candle hold up at the volume weighted average price, and finally we make a nice little new high there. So PNTM really trying to, you know, hold above the prior area lows, and that's what you're getting. Area low, area low, area low, they're all higher lows. So I don't mind this stock at all, but I will insist on sticking to my rules, and I will not trade it until it takes out that 169er. So that's my look on these small cap gappers. Got a few more minutes, then we're going to send you to Dara for happening now. Then Neil's going to drop his lesson of the day. Keep your eye out on that, guys. And we'll be keeping our eye out here on the small cap gappers, Joey.
Absolutely. You guys, you know what time it is. What time is it, Sharif?
It is 11:58.
No, it's time to look at the top performing sectors.
Oh, maybe you can look at Polestar's options first.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You want me to do that? Yeah, we'll do that. Never mind. We don't
you're
care
leaving
about
me in suspense here.
Yeah, we don't care about the top performing
I was hoping
sectors.
you could give us a good look there,
Absolutely,
I have no idea
What is the ticker again on this?
PSNY.
PSNY. Public service announcement.
Yeah, just bring that bad boy in there, bro. Just bring it in, man.
Let's see what we got. Yeah, we'll
don't bring that one in there.
Yeah, we'll bring it in there. Yeah, we gotta hide that top part there. All right, guys. Nothing substantial. Okay, so we do have a little bit of open interest, but you can see that we don't have very many strikes. So we go from half a dollar all the way up to $4, and then we do have this. But one thing to note, and I love what you guys displayed to me the other day. I forget what the ticker was, but it was like 6 months out or something along those lines. That the specific strike price at an insane amount of volume. So I'm not seeing anything substantial. The $1.50 not looking too bad. 2,444 contracts at that specific level, Sharif. So that could be an attractive price for Polestar.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why are there so few different strike prices? Is that by design?
Yeah, it must be. I don't know why, right? So it's only bringing you so far. So you can take a look at what they're actually worth here in the deltas.
Right.
So they're not really worth anything, and then as you continuously climb higher, they're obviously going to be worth less, and you can't have them too cheap up there. So that's worth $10.
Dude.
So like this contract is worth $10, right? So an expiration of October 17th, that $4 strike is worth $10, and that's the max that you can lose on it. It's
That's
$10.
crazy.
$10.
What can you make though on that?
Infinite, as high as it wants to climb. We'll take a look at the profile right now for you, my brother.
Yeah, that's not going to happen though.
Yeah, so it's
need
infinite.
Like
it's essentially it's essentially infinite. So as long as as price continues to appreciate, you have no loss cap essentially at the end of the day. I mean,
very interesting. Maybe that's why it's moving up.
Sorry,
for exactly that reason.
Yeah,
maybe
you have
it's the options market that's pushing it up.
Usually that's how it works sometimes, brothers. Is the options market heavily influences what we got going on.
Okay. Options market, I definitely need to be more into this. Anyway, it's happening now with Adara, then Neil's lesson of the day.
Nasdaq at a really interesting place here, very strong, continuing to push to the upside. Let's see if we can break above that resistance and get to our highest level since that Friday breakout on Jackson Hole. Now, we all know what the biggest event of the week is beyond this economic data we're getting later this week. That's right, it's Nvidia earnings. Here is an infographic you can find on X at TTV Research, and I will be reposting these heading up to the report. But anyways, you can see here, 2024 is really a breakout, to put it in chart terms, for Nvidia's revenue. Let's see what we get here at the next quarter, because as you can see, this company just continues to escalate their annual revenue. We're expecting quarterly revenue around $46 billion, I believe. MongoDB, speaking of earnings, actually already reported, and they've had a really strong showing. They're at their day's highs, up 35%, beating on EPS and sales and guiding better than expected for both the quarter and the fiscal year. Now, CoreWeave on watch, not an earnings play, the one that might be on watch with tonight's earnings play, NVIDIA. They did just have a presentation at the Deutsche Bank Technology Conference about an hour ago, where they said they're continuing to expand their contracts with hyperscalers, especially over the last 8 weeks. They expect continued growth. Let's see if that's how things end up shaping up. And we could get a little bit of a sense of demand from the NVIDIA earnings report. In the meantime, though, Cantor Fitzgerald also initiated coverage with a overweight rating for CRWV. Now, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to listen up, because Neil's going to be delivering his lesson of the day. Take it away, Neil.
Thank you, Adara. It's going to be twofold today because I want to work Google into this somehow. But the first thing I want to talk about is it's not an earnings trap, but it's similar to one. And BTAI did something today that maybe would have been on my radar more if I had traded yesterday or been in, but it's just an excuse. But this is a setup that we always talk about liking in another direction. That's when you have a liquidity grab to the downside, right? Like a liquidity grab in a stock, trap some shorts, and then the stock blows it out the next day. In this particular case, BTAI showed you a huge move up on some positive news for a trial in the afternoon, right in the aftermarket. It was up significantly, over 20%. But when you sit down, unless you're like a really, really early riser and you were kind of holding the gap here in the morning, when you sit down and all of a sudden this starts trading again after an update, it's failing underneath support. You have to keep in mind with these types of stocks, and I will get to Google, these are big time high flyers. 10, 20% is absolutely nothing on it. Because when you look at the history, like this went from $1.30 to $8 in just a couple of weeks. So you know it has potential to move much more than that. And when you look at the higher time frame here, the higher time frame is topping tail wicks with lower highs at $7. So it's showing you resistance up here on the higher time frame. Then it short-term grabs some longs here, and it before even 8 o'clock, it's already failing underneath those highs. Let alone at 8 o'clock, it does it again. And then by the time you get to the open, it's already retesting those lows. And it's so hard to look at something that's pretty much given up the entire move and like it for a continuation. But when you put it all together, the highs on the daily, giving you the idea that the range could be easily bigger than the 10 or 20% that it's moved, the fade on these lower highs and topping tail candles, the trapped long in the aftermarket, when you start to add those all together, that's where you get your continuation from. And what happens here, it ends up with a standard short setup, very standard short setup, which is simple. At 9:30, it tries to break first resistance, fails, and then trends down literally for the rest of the day. I mean, that is a textbook short trade on BTAI, all set up by a lot of things that you would have seen well before the market even opened up. You can be looking for that because it's showing you that setup. Now, the other thing I want to jump to is something that Obi, first of all, before I talk about the fact that Obi and I have been discussing this on Alphabet and all these flash crashes, that DMX question, Obi got it instantly. Absolutely instantly. It was like, I messaged him, I go, what did DMX want you to do after stop and drop? And he instantly shut him down, open up shop. So he got that no problem. Obi knows his hip hop at least. But the thing is we've been mentioning is, I can't remember a time when a stock, a big company like this, Alphabet, has had so many not open, intraday mini flash crashes. Intraday. Like it's doing this in the middle of the day with absolutely no news. And the algos are destroying it. I almost don't wonder, like, do you not just put up a chart of this in the middle of the day every single day to look for one of these? Because on a 5-second chart, you realize how slim your chances are of getting this unless you're already looking at the stock. Like this is the first candle. You've got 15 seconds essentially, and then you're breaking it out on the fourth 5-second candle. That's how quickly this is getting bought up when it flash crashes. And it is very clean on this 5-second to be able to look for a long here, 206.85 or so as it's breaking back up. Like you get down, down, down. It then closes with a couple of bottoming tails. And then once it's breaking out here, you probably have a matter of seconds after that first 15 to be able to get it. But unless you're watching for this on Alphabet, you can set an alert. The amount of time it takes you to pull it up, hopefully you're fast enough within the 10 to 15 seconds that you can get this type of a trade. But when you see this over and over again, and every single time it has been bought up, not a couple of times or 2 out of 3, no, every time that Alphabet has had a flash crash in the middle of the day, randomly on no news, it has been bought up instantly. So you have a plan of action of what you want to do. The question becomes, are you ready for it? Like, do you have an alert set for it? So you can get over there in the first few seconds, find a long entry, and then grip it and rip it. Because all you're looking for is a mean reversion on a play like this. It's a mini flash crash. They happen so much more than they used to back when you didn't have all the algos making the markets, and it was a little bit more organized. But at the same time, it's happening. And again, if you hear news, the best thing about it is instantly you would have heard Google's dropping and we have no news for it. So you couple that with that quick action of pullback, bounce every single time in the last month. It's done it at least 4 times, and every single time it's bounced. If it happens a 5th time and there's no news, I just think you look for that very, very fast long in Alphabet. But just understand, if you don't get it, it was under 207. Like on the 3-minute, you don't even see it. It was under 207 that you have to get that long to be able to catch that quick little bit of a buck. Because all that's happening is they're just dropping the bid into some decent selling, but it's getting bought so quickly that it's mostly offers just saying, oh my goodness, what's going on here? We're not chasing it down anymore. They're lifting the offer, and it's like very little buying going back through. Like, look at the volume candle, look at the sell volume candle, look at the buy volume candle. Yeah, it's big, but it's nothing compared to that sell candle, not even anything. So you've got to make sure that you're in on the big volume that's happening right away. You can only do that by setting alert. It's not going to happen forever on Alphabet, but if it happens again, you do want to be prepared. And if you see it on other stocks, just understand, there is an actual value to 3-second charts and 5-second charts, especially in those little mini flash crashes. If you have them available, they can be very useful in terms of finding entries. I found them useful when trading some of those day one IPOs as well. So good luck, everybody. Shout out to Obi for knowing about the legend DMX. I mean, come on. Where my dog's at? Go get him.
I don't know. You got to ask them.
Crazy.
Yeah, I could just be like, man.
This guy's
like,
crunching his head. He's ready to go. Elevator issues with Joey will get him mad. All right. Thank you very much, Neil. Informative, eloquent, and just all around awesome as always. Neil Roberts every day around that noon hour. Neil's lesson of the day, or as we call it around here, Neilage. All right. Here's the deal. A couple of things didn't happen when while you guys were gone. We're still waiting, on TRVI. This is looking like a better and better trade, Bovin, because when we get a midday breakout like this, I'm always concerned, I'm sure as you guys are as well, that we're going to get an upside down V-shaped retracement. We go all the way up to 860, and then you come back down from the depths of hell from which you came, 750. That didn't happen here, Bovin. We're still holding well above the 10, well above VWAP, and we're looking like we're bull flagging. I'm talking about TRVI. It's not up much, 13.33% relative to some other small cap gappers, but you got the volume to support it initially. You did have about 500,000 shares here, about 1.4 million shares traded in this 5-minute candle, and then the volume is dropping about 700, 300, 200, and now it's basically with this candle just open, we've only got 4,000 shares on that one. So it's not a bad look, Bovin. It's spready a little bit. And for whoever else wants to trade it, TRVI is what I'm talking about. So I'll keep my eye out on that. I did add before you guys left for happening now, Neil's lesson of the day, into Triple D at the 10 EMA. And it's generally been holding on to it, but we're still putting in lower highs. Holding that 10 EMA, great, but we're not making any newer highs. That doesn't help me much there. Now, the other one, SKBL, we were talking about this one, ton. And this one broke the dollar. In fact, it got about 107. But zig and zag it goes. Down below $1 it goes into 96, 95 pennies. Alas, it's still above the 10 EMA, and a very interesting to me here. So the 10 EMA is initially where I'd be looking, around 93 to 95 pennies. If it doesn't hold that level, I'm not right away looking at VWAP at 83 to 84 pennies. I'm initially looking at this high 80s, low 90s. And the reason I say that is because look at that double top that we put in initially in the high 80s, low 90s. I'd like for that area of previous resistance to get tested, possibly as support this time around. So initial area I'm looking here on SKBL to summarize, that 10 EMA. If the 10 EMA doesn't hold, I'm interested in that double top area at high 80s to low 90s. That doesn't hold, well then, we'll likely get stopped out, but we'll be looking at VWAP possibly at that low 80s, mid 80s area where it currently is hanging out, Joey. So that's all I've got at the moment. What do you got?
Yeah, same thing here, guys. I want to have a conversation with this individual who's continuously selling at 63s.
Oh.
Yeah, I really want to have a talk with them just because at the end of the day, it's just not breaking. And then it's the same thing on what I'm thinking with the Qs is, do I just get out, take a small win, and just stop with the mental capital expenditure? And I think I'm going to lean towards that. Yeah. I mean, I had a good sleep too. My stomach's full, but just slightly. Yeah. You didn't have a good sleep. Yeah. I had a pretty good sleep, but there it is. I just hopped out of there. Small win on IBIT. We'll continuously hammer this at the end of the $10 super chat from our guy Zion Lala. Dat boy Neil, he's sharp as a blade. In the world of trading, he's perfectly made. Charts and candles, he reads with flair. Drop golden wisdom, that's rare to share. Bang.
Zion freaking Lala striking again with the rhymes.
With the...
he rips and he rhymes and he rhymes and he rips. That's how Xylon spits, baby.
Oh, whoa, hey.
You know where that's from?
No.
Come on, man. Yeah, Neil, he doesn't like Chappelle's show, Neil.
Come on, brother. I like Chappelle's show. I just don't remember everything.
That one. Yeah. So remember the Diddy? The Diddy one?
Yeah.
Where like Chappelle's pretending to be Diddy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then one of the guys, what was the show called, Neil? Make the Band or something like that? Making the Band, thank you. So that was the name of the show. So they had this rapper on there, Dylon, who thought everybody was crap except him.
Yeah,
he's like, who are the top 5 rappers of all time? Dylon, you know exactly.
Dylon.
There you go.
Yeah, I know that one.
Cambodian, that's all I can say about that. Cambodian. I'm not going to say anything else. Other than Cambodia.
The best one is the Real World, when he does the Real World, and they just have that one guy in there, and he's like, you sit down when you pee around me. It's like, which is absolutely hilarious, which is mad jokes.
That's good, bro. That's
and then
good,
they do
man.
something to him, they just like steal everything from the poor guy. Yeah. That stuff is jokes.
Neil's cracking up. That's good, Joey.
What was that guy's name? It was hilarious. I forget that guy's name.
I don't remember, but I know what you're talking about.
It was funny, yeah. That was it was crazy. It was mad joke, just a way to kind of demasculine the individual. But
clearly.
There it is, right? We got out of that one. It got a clean flush. So sometimes those things work for us. I do like this Palantir lows as well. To shout out to Sadiq, he's like, when would you start building? I think now would be not a horrible time. I mean, the risk profile's there. 156.58 roughly. You want to give it a couple pennies. Obviously, you just don't want to go too tight unless you believe you have that much confidence within that setup. So a little bit below that, but nice hammer candles. Considering the rest of the market has been ripping and Palantir's been doing the opposite, don't look for too much relative strength because it's displaying that it's weak here. So, yeah, that's all I got there, brother.
Is this guy delusional?
What do you say?
All right.
Oh, yeah. That's what it's from. Oh, I thought you were talking about...
undo. All right.
Well, I didn't see what he said anyways.
Well, all right, whatever. Here's the deal. Holding...
that's not what it's from. Delete that guy. See you later, buddy. But the other guy who said Katie...
Oh, no,
we can't say that stuff, but that's essentially what it is. We'll just remove that, but you can stay.
I'm seeing John Del Segno asking here. Let's just look at what John's talking about. He's talking about LUMN. Let's have a look at Lumen for the OG, John Del Segno. Let's have a look at that. Oh, this is a good look, John. Right away, straight to jail. Good jail, that is. 504 high. Look at that. Absolute respect for the 10 EMA. It pulls back into the volume weighted average price. You get a hold off VWAP and up we go again. What's LUMN up on the day? Let's have a look here. I'm not sure. It's not updating unless I put it into the watch list. 7%, a little bit less, 693. Not bad at all, John. This is not a small cap gapper. Full disclosure, obviously, it's a $5 billion+ market cap. But if this comes into the 10 EMA, I'm a buyer. We'll scalp on it a little bit. We'll see what we can get on this one. And you don't have too much notional, right? 69 the low, 504 the high. So you don't have to risk that much between these technical areas. I'm talking about that 10 EMA variance between the 10 EMA and VWAP, right? Because if you're going to get in at one, you just can't, get out willy-nilly at a random area. There's got to be another technical area that you get out at. And so I do like it when it sets up in this way. So LUMN has just worked its way onto the side chart. We're going to take off BMR Bovin because that was an upside-down retracement. Upside down V retracement right down to the lows. I didn't mention that to you guys, but Bovin was telling me about that while Neil was doing his lesson the day before. We go to Dara. So we did add into Triple D. We've wet the beak here a couple of times, but I should let you know that there's a staunchy seller at 65. We can't seem to shake him, despite the fact that we've been up into 65, but we can't cross. So keep your eye on Triple D if you're trading this with me. I'm looking for that test of the high of the day. Guess what? That high of the day is 65, which makes sense why we're selling there. Go ahead, Adair.
Yeah, I have a couple smaller cap names for you potentially here, Sharif. Both of these have sub $1 billion market caps, RCAT and UMAC. They are moving after we had a article released here by the Department of Defense saying that the Army is apparently producing the second tranche of short-range reconnaissance drones. So the second tranche of reconnaissance drones coming out here, I guess, are being produced by the Army as announced by the DoD, UMAC, and RCAT moving. UMAC has a market cap of around $320 million. RCAT just shy of $900 million market cap. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Adair.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Adair. Yeah. All right, guys. Exciting news for Canadian sophisticated traders. Beta Pro by Global X Canada has just launched 6 new triple levered ETFs, offering 3x bull and 3x bear exposure to the S&P and the TSX 60. Semiconductors and U.S. Treasuries even better. They're offering a special free rebate, dropping management fees to 65 basis points until December 31st, 2025. These ETFs also employ currency hedging to seek to neutralize U.S. dollar exposure, providing performance that may more accurately reflect the underlying U.S. equity indices. If you're a tactical, sophisticated trader looking to amplify your performance, check out betapro.ca 3x daily to learn more. And yeah, sure enough, there it goes, right? That's just how the name of the game works. So yeah, that's slightly frustrating, but that's okay. We'll just continue. We'll let it ride. It's gone now. We're out of the position. So it's as my good friend Obi would like to say, where is the next trade? What is the next trade? Ethereum really choppy, but it's forming a pretty good channel. That's the thing, right? That's my weakness, is just sitting through chop. I just don't have the ability to do so, or the patience, which isn't very good because patience is extremely key in this game. So yeah, even though we had the right thesis, just all this ups and downs in the lower time frames when you're just micromanaging something, at that point it's like zoom out, head to the 3-minute, be a little bit more patient, because at the end of the day, there's only a couple of them, and then sure enough, we're starting to break through some key resistance levels there on IBIT, Sharif.
Sounds good, Joey. All right, guys, I'm in SKBL here, as I mentioned. If this came in to that high 90s, low 90s, high 80s, I'd punch back in. I didn't have a resting order, but I did see it on the side chart. So I'm long 91s. It's actually better than that. I have 90.5, but you won't see that on the position board. We're working in to about 94 right now. There's a seller here at 94. I'm posted at 95s and 97s. We're above 94. Can we weasel on up and cross 95? Because we're going to need to cross it to get printed. Zigging and zagging a little above 94, a little bit below. We'll pack our patience and see if we can get that print. Here we go, 95 now knocking on the door. Can we get a little bit higher?
Can we get much higher?
There you go. Yeah, we're going to have to wait here, as it's such a thick trade when you're south of that dollar. That's talking about patience right there, Joey. I know you were just mentioning that, but there we go. We get the print. Not a bad look. Now we're talking about 95.5. Let's see if we can work up into 97s. SKBL in focus. 96 is showing up. Good look here, man. Good respect for previous area of technical resistance. Flips to support. That's what the TA books say, but we're not out of the clear. I mean, we're not even close to the high of the day, which is 107. So we'll continue to watch this one and see if we can extract some more profits on it the next peak. Whether, as I mentioned, I was about to hit the flat bottom break. 97 pennies. All right. Whoa, Canadian. I like that. See Canada. Thank you very much to Kirk Poirier. I hope I didn't butcher your name, man. And if I did, I'm sorry. Can I get some ZETA wisdom? I had to say Z because he's Canadian, right? ZTA wisdom from you guys. I got some January 2026 $25 call options around $1.50 average. Curious about the thoughts and the liquidity. Joey Options, can you do that for him?
Yeah.
I know it's not. I know you're not, but
no,
I can't do the options.
No, it's not. Has nothing to do with that. I'm looking at this hot piece of garbage, Bitcoin Go, and I just said I was getting out of it, and now sure enough. All right, yeah. Zeta. So Mike P. DeRider, when I was saying what a joke, I was referring to my trading today. That's just how it's kind of been. So woosah, woosah, woosah. Let's take a look at Zeta. Catherine Zeta Jones.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
I was a fan, bro.
You're not a fan?
I was a fan.
Oh, I was. I still am.
Remember her in Traffic?
No.
You never watched that movie, Traffic?
No.
Sick movie.
Is it?
It's an old one, like early 2000s.
Prime Zeta? Or Zeta?
I would say so.
All right.
Yeah. Sick movie too, though.
He's in the new Wednesday. I know you haven't, but
no, I don't even.
Sometimes
know
you know how it is. Like wine, my friend. get better with you get better.
I haven't seen her lately.
Yeah, she's on Netflix. Yeah,
Oh,
she's looking good. She's nice, tall, and still tall and everything like that.
I
So,
didn't even know Catherine Zeta was tall.
yeah, she's pretty tall.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
She's Welsh, right?
I have no idea.
She's from Wales?
I have no idea, brother. I
don't know. I'll have to find out. She's
okay,
Welsh?
there you go. Oh,
Assassino?
Assassino knows. He's got his eyes on.
Joey, I got to interrupt
Go
for
ahead,
1 second
go
until
ahead, and I'll go.
guys, TRVI is breaking out. I didn't punch into this. This is on me. I was alive to this trade. I didn't take it out of, stupidity. Let's just call a spade a spade. Bovin, this is one of your calls, brother, and this is really going here. Great looking bull flag on TRVI. The breakout's on right now. Joey, sorry to interrupt. I know you should look at the options.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so give me a minute here, Assassino. Maybe I'll get you to do, Sharif to do that for me as I just go over here.
What do you want me to do?
I think that we got to read here, but I'm going to take care of the super chat.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to take care of the super chat. Can I get some Zeroism, some January 26, 2025 calls, dollar call option around $1.50, average curious thoughts and liquidity. So yeah, I mean, there it is, right? So you have those 25 calls, that strike price. Really, really tough on the liquid side, right? So that's the one thing that you have to note about options. You can run into liquidity issues. You do have a lot of time. Is that correct? Okay, so yeah, and you are still slightly down. I mean, you're $75 per contract out of the money on those. Roughly, even more. Okay, that has to be incorrect, right? Because that's 75. But anyways, what I'm getting at is you do have a little bit of time. You can also sell some options, but you're not going to be collecting very much premium on those. For some reason, they're all worth the same. And yeah, you don't even have the ability to do so on this platform. So again, with that being said, you do have time. Am I going to say DCA into this a little bit more? I wouldn't suggest it. I would just look into maybe... Again, that's a tough thing, right? You could roll it as well, too, to give yourself more time. I think that's probably the better option on what you're going to have to go to. So, again, January 2026, 2025, just roll it a couple more months out and then see what you can do and then look if you can sell some options against it.
You've seen Trade the Pool here with us for a while now, guys, and now they've created something very special just for you guys, a free ebook, and it features 4 proven swing trading strategies from Trade the Pool's top funded traders. Inside the book, you'll see exactly how they approach the markets, how they manage their risk, and what setups they rely on, so you can actually learn and grow from what works. Download it now by scanning the QR code on the screen or hitting the link in the description. Shout out to the great folks at Trade the Pool. And Mitch and company will be joining us on Canadian Thanksgiving of all days. Did I tell you what happened? I ended up taking. Okay, I already told you. All right, so you already know.
Took it off, but now you're back, baby.
But I'm back. Now I stopped taking it off the calendar, but I will because I want to be here when.
Is that a Friday or something?
It's like, isn't it always a Monday though?
Yeah.
Thanksgiving has to be a Monday.
So that's when they're coming.
Yeah,
right?
pretty
on
sure.
The Monday.
Yeah, which is a bizarre day to go out. Like, not a lot of people go out Monday night.
You know what's funny? Obi, Jose, and I did last Thanksgiving.
You smashed Monday night?
Oh, brother.
That's crazy.
You're crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, you got to watch out for those guys, man. I'm telling you, because there's no such thing as 1 or 2 or 3 or 4.
There is. You just have to put your foot down.
Yeah. Well, it's tough, man. But anyway, it was a good night for sure.
Yeah, it's always a good night with those guys, bro. No question about it. Yeah, Thanksgiving in Canada is a little earlier, obviously, because the harvest is a little earlier as we're more north, and it's colder. And you could already tell. Typically, we start getting, that nice temperate weather in mid-September. We got it early this year, baby, which is kind of weird because we had, I think, almost a record number of 30-degree days. That's like 90-some-odd degrees Fahrenheit.
It was a beautiful
So I didn't think we were going to get an early fall, to be honest with you.
It flicked the switch really quick,
like
bro.
that.
Like a couple days of rain straight to jail, and then I look at my phone, 12 degrees. I'm like, it's sweater up time, brother.
This guy, bro.
this
is my tank top weather right now.
Guy's in shorts.
No, but you're right.
Yeah,
Everybody on the subway is like jacket, long sleeve. I'm sitting in my shorts and my t-shirt. I don't give up. No, seriously though, I run hot, baby. All right, guys, there's really nothing to report on. I do apologize. We're still holding some triple Ds over here. It's not exactly rocketing to the upside. Yeah, tarp off, BR Cat. You know how it is. Dude, I did tarp off mid-October, to be fair. Mid-October last year. Me and my buddy did a run in Humber.
Yeah.
We were both tarp off.
Tarp off.
Yeah, you know how it goes. We can get decent 20-degree days in October.
You know what I like about that is just that, like, it's because the window of the day is so much shorter. So when the sun is out, it's like it is still slightly warm.
That's my main thing about being this far north.
Yeah.
When you're that far north, the days eat up super quick.
Like the worst thing for me is that it's like 4:30, dark out. And I'm just like, oh.
That's December, November though.
Yeah,
that's a bit ways away. Yeah, those are the depressing days of the
dark days, man.
Yeah, man. But that's what vacay is for, right? You got to save those vacay days, baby. That's why I got 8 still left.
I got a couple, man. I gotta put those to good use. That's for sure.
Market's dumping, says KDD dumpster. So I think you like the market dumping. Let's have a look. I rarely look at the future anymore, but I think you are absolutely right, my friend. Yeah, that's a big down move there. We were very consolidative here on the NQ September contract. Oh, September 19th, that's when this contract expires. So we were kind of hovering around a little above 23.6, but look at that. We're losing the bid. We're losing VWAP. And we're dropping down into about 23.550 territory, the overnight low or the day low. Yeah, the overnight low, we can call it that. 23.487. So let's see if we get that hold at 23.5. And if you look at these two candles here on the 5, we do actually hold at 23.5, despite the fact that the wick does go into 87. So I would expect if we continue to sell off and lose that 50-point area for us to hold at least, unless there's new news, excuse me, at the 500-point area. Let's see what we get. But you can speak to this a lot better than I, because you were trading the futures. Does it feel like a consolidative day?
Yeah,
Are we a little choppy?
Yeah, it's extremely choppy in my opinion, right? Because we were sitting in a consolidation zone for like an hour or so, Sharif, so it was a tougher look. But now the market has continuously sold off. I know I think she's got some tariff news for us right here. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, there's not really any news to explain the drop. One thing that came out 11 minutes ago that might be of interest more generally is with regards to tariff impacts. We know the Fed for a while has been saying these tariff impacts might come later rather than sooner. Well, now I'm seeing this commentary coming out. Apparently, some Canadian companies in particular have actually been holding off on passing tariff costs to consumers. So that could be part of why we're seeing this delayed inflation impact with regards to tariffs. Now that, again, they came out 11 minutes ago, roughly when the drop accelerated. Unclear if that's what's moving it down, but interesting either way, because we know one of the biggest things that the Fed has routinely said is that there will be a delay in the tariff impact, so that could potentially be why. Now, I want to take a moment here to bring up an infographic series that I've been extremely excited about, and I just added an update to Trump and posting on Truth Social about public companies. So this most recent update covers two very exciting, I think, companies on watch as of late, Intel and Cracker Barrel. Now, with these posts, I want to make very clear, we moved from Trump being in more kind of an outsider commentator perspective, where he's, a little bit making these opinions about companies but not changing them. But with these posts, we actually see Trump getting involved in the business of public companies. And by that, I mean we have the U.S. government actually taking a stake in Intel. Then, of course, Trump not only actually encouraging Cracker Barrel to change their logo, but they change it back, and then he posts this fun little parody logo of America First. So yeah, I mean, I think I'll be curious to see if we get more situations like this where the Truth Social posts and Trump's involvement actually expands to the business operations of public companies. I find it very fascinating, and if you find this fascinating and you want to look at this series, which includes so many public companies, including Goldman Sachs, AT&T, JP Morgan, etc., check this out on X at TTV Research. Back to you.
Yeah, it's a great look there, Dara. I mean, that's interesting. We're going to have a lot to say about tariffs coming up on the news in about, I think we're going to do a little early because we have a lot of news stories to cover. So we'll start hopefully in about 10 minutes, get another 5 minutes under our belt. We're going to be talking about Europe scrambling to try to strike a deal with America after the other tariff news that we'll talk about, which is India now facing 50% tariffs. That came into play today. And that's going to be very interesting for the likes of Apple as well as others who are trying to base their strategy around, moving some of their supply chain from China to India. And so these tariffs could substantially affect their overall profitability as well as revenue, balance sheet, margins. You guys know the drill. So we're going to be getting to that. We're going to do it line by line. So if you want to deep dive into these news headlines, stick with Adara, myself, and Joey. In about 10 minutes, we'll go through that every day, literally every day at around 12:45, 1. We're going to be going through the news And we're engaging in discussions as well. You're going to hear Joey has to think. You're going to hear what Adara has to think as well as myself. And we're always looking for comments for you guys in the chat. But you got to tag us so that we see that you guys want to participate in the chat, and then we'll absolutely drop your comments in there. Just keep it clean. So that's it. That's it right now. Let's go on to SKBL because I flattened out on this one because I had a bad feeling. No real specifics other than to say, you know, that seller at around 95 was a bit of a staunchy bugger that we couldn't shake. So I ended up flattening out for a few penny winner, but I'm happy that I did that because look at this. Breaking down now, breaching the volume weighted average price at 85, in fact, dipping into 80. That's all well and good from my perspective because I won't trade it if it's below VWAP. But if you're looking at trend, you're still putting in higher lows and higher highs generally. If you're looking at this area over here as an area low, that 10 p.m. print at around 55.5 pennies, 55 pennies, that's the area low. Then this area low over here at around 11.15, that's about 72 penny area low. And here we are at another area low, higher low though at 80 pennies. So you're continuing to follow trend here on SKBL despite the fact that it's lost the volume weighted average price. Here I am though, still in triple Ds at 64s, and I'm waiting for a 65 print. 65 is the high of the day. So I don't want to say this is going to be a flat top break. It might be. But what I'm seeing here is that same seller at 65 show up again and again. What's different, though, on every successive attempt is the lows are a little bit higher. So you're getting that ascending wedge pattern with higher lows and that flat top at the top. That's why I've layered my orders in the way that I have, because usually if you break it, you're breaking it with a few pennies because a lot of people are piling into the trade. So that's what my bias is right now on Triple D. I think that this one's been respectful of the technical level, specifically the 10 EMA, and I'm trying to base my trades off that. One last one before I send you to Joey, one that Bovin brought to us earlier, PTNM. I've been very interested in trading this name, but it hasn't set up in the right way. I will insist that it decisively take out that 169 area high. That is a pre-market high before I get involved. Otherwise, I will continue to be concerned about the bag holders and or the short sellers who will use that pre-market high as like a precipice to get in every time we work into it. It happened when we tried to attempt to take it out at around 11:15. We got to 167, which is not 169, and then you saw what happened. We dropped substantially back into 140. The good news was we held VWAP, so giving us another attempt. We didn't go all the way back into the area low, sub $1. So 50% in Greensville right now is PTNM, but not tradable under my system, Joey.
All right, there. Yeah, so I meant to hop into Tesla and by accidentally punched TQs. So yeah, we'll see if this is gonna work out for us. It might be a dangerous trade, risk profile relatively wide, and I gave myself significantly more shares on this one. So yeah, we got to be extremely cautious on what we're doing and tighter stop. But I like this hammer volume, not necessarily supporting it, but you have that big time volatility spike down where momentum started to accelerate, and then sure enough, you get this indecision hammer print right at the volume rated average price below it. So I like our chances. It's either it's going to work or it's not. So we won't get too upset about that one. And also I'm cooled down now, considering that was slightly frustrated not too long ago. So yeah, that's good. That's a positive note, right? Because it's all courtesy to you guys, obviously. At the end of the day, you guys make me laugh. Oh, and our boy Stevenson Etienne passed his evaluation today, killing it, brother. Brother, I'm so glad to hear that for you. That's amazing stuff. And he's been working on it for quite some time.
Man.
Quite some time.
Fantastic.
But that's just I can just tell you're resilient, and I think you really need that within this game because it will beat you down. It will give you some hard days. It will turn your hair slightly gray and everything along those lines. But as long as you keep getting back up, then sure enough, every day is a new day, and it doesn't matter what happened yesterday. You got to only think about today. So I'm so happy for that guy, considering he's been working on it for quite some time. But yeah, there it is. TQs. We do have a wide range in which we have to keep an eye out for. So I'm in at 44s, and I have to give this about 30 cents or so, a little bit more than what I would like to, but I'm not wrong until we break that previous low. So I'm going to continuously hold on to this position. I'm glad that we did get out of Bitcoin, even though it continuously was driving me nuts. We did get a pop through the resistance, but now it's sold off and head towards some key support levels and looks like it's going to crack it there. So yeah, that's what we got going on. And okay, yeah, all right. So I thought you were talking to me.
No.
But yeah. So that's it. That's all I have. It's not looking too good. Yeah, I'm gonna hop out of this. It's not gonna work out. Boom. So that's that one. I think we are going to continue that trajectory to the south side there, Shree.
All right, we're gonna have to start the news a little bit later.
Yeah, let's go.
No, we can't because there's we got a special guest coming on in a few minutes.
Oh, okay.
So if we start the news, then you know, we're gonna get interrupted by the special guest.
And there you go. And there you go. That's why I got out of that trade. It cracked through the lows. No specific signal. Sorry to interrupt you there, but again, once again, we're getting out when we're supposed to.
I think Adara's got news.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, we have a post here from Scott Bessent on X. He posted this about 6 minutes ago, but it's really just a link to an interview he did earlier this morning where he says that they still have their 11 strong Fed chair candidates. Apparently, they're going to start interviews after Labor Day. So they're going to start interviews in less than a week, at which point they will then present a short list out of those 11 candidates to President Trump. Now, he also said that Trump has a sophisticated view of monetary policy and respect for the Fed. So he wants a leader that's going to be able to, I guess, restore the credibility and the mission of the Federal Reserve. With that in mind, a quick reminder for those who have missed it, this is a post you can find from a week or two ago on X at TTV Research. Here are the 11 candidates for that Fed chair position, and this is according to a CNBC report. As you can see, we've got 4 current Fed members in the running, 3 former Fed members in the running, and then 4 assorted economists in the running as well. So you can check this out on X at TTV Research. Let's wait and see who is selected for that Fed chair position, and if it's any of these 11 individuals. Back to you.
You got to love Donald on this yesterday. He was pressed on this issue, and he's like, I got somebody in my head.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
Donald.
okay,
He's like,
buddy.
they're very good.
Yeah.
That was for Lisa. That wasn't
Oh, that's
for
right.
Fed chair. He said he's very
That's
excited
right.
apparently
Yeah,
about
yeah,
Lisa Cook's replacement because he cut somebody off and he's like, I got someone in mind. I know, but yeah, I mean, I don't know about
Yes, you're right about that. You're absolutely right about that. Yeah, that wasn't about the Fed chair. We'll have to see who the Fed chair is, but you gotta wonder, is there a shadow Fed chair already, and we're just all waiting for that major announcement?
Who's that guy that has the ponytail? I can't remember his name right now, but apparently he might be up for the running.
Ponytail, you
Yeah, he has a ponytail.
Interesting.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I can't remember that
You
guy's
ever had a
name.
ponytail? Well, I know you had dreads.
No, I've never.
Did you ever put the dreads in the ponytail?
No.
That's crazy.
Did you ever do the man bun?
No.
Did you ever have a ponytail?
No. It doesn't work with the Arab hair.
Arab hair?
Yeah. It's look, Joseph. It's got a mind of its own up there.
Is it? Yeah, I wish that.
Yeah. What are we talking about? All right, guys. There's just very few small cap gappers that are doing anything. But guess what, John? You brought us LUMN, and LUMN is still holding up. So maybe we should talk about this one. LUMN on the NY. Excuse me. So it's above 5. And it's holding 5 now. Here's the deal. We're going to take a small entry here on LUMN at the highs. And here's the deal, John. This has been holding 5 ever since it cleared it at 12 o'clock. So we're 40 minutes deep into this $5 hold. We're going to go 498 stop, so we'll risk very little over here on this one. And we'll look for several beak wetters into about 504, 505 as well. We'll see what we get with this one, right? LUMN, it's up 7%. It's not exactly rocketing up, but there's very few ones that are at the moment. Yannick's telling me mRNA. I'll have a look at that one in a second. Okay, so Adara has got news. We're going to send it to Adara.
Coming out within just a couple seconds ago. I'm starting to see this story, but apparently we've got the FDA authorizing COVID vaccines for those at higher risk. That's coming from the top. That would be the lead of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So first this was reported by Bloomberg. Now we're actually seeing officially that the FDA has approved this. So there's going to be Moderna for 6+ months, Pfizer for 5+ months, and Novavax for 12+ months. That's marketing authorization for those at higher risk. So again, mRNA, PFE, and NVAX are the tickers named here. Back to you.
Ooh, thank you very much. All right, guys, we're back into some Bitcoin. Yeah, that worked out on the TQ. So just again, just another liquidity grab, unfortunately. And then sure enough, yeah, now starting to climb, even a better volume print right there. Wow. This it's getting me today. So yeah, we're back into some Bitcoin. We like this 5-minute indecision right at the volume weighted average price. So we'll just continuously add. So now, actually, surprisingly so, I have more shares right here than what I did in this kind of congestion of me just continuously adding right here. So yeah, that's what I got going on. Breaks the low. There is a double bottom that we want to note on the 5-minute, almost to the penny right there at 63.34. So that's some positivity. We like that one right there, 63.34. Boom, good there. And what do you got?
I've got nothing. I got into LUMN. It's a new trade. I'm still holding in Triple D. Triple D's at the high of the day, but has been the case all day, Joey. That seller at 65, we can't shake. How's the elliptical, Katina man? It was good. Smashed half an hour. What'd you do? Half an hour. Get it, Katina man. Good look there, brother. Katina man was smashing the banana before he left here.
Yeah.
Because he wants to get that potassium life for the cramps, baby.
Yeah.
That's what I do every day. Oh, there we go, Joey freaking options. Finally, Triple D taking out the high to 67 high, and we actually got a couple of prints on that. We got 65s and 66, 67 unfilled, and then if we're that close to 69er, we're definitely going to be taking 69er there. So Triple D, that gift that keeps on giving. And originally, guys, that's my cost basis is 61. That's because we added here. So initially, we got in at 52s and we scalped. And then it pulled back into the 10 EMA, and that's why I got in there at 61s. And so we're scalping back into the highs. Originally, we were a little bit lower there on the entry, but we'll pack our patience and we'll look for more here on Triple D. As I mentioned, I'm also in LUMN. I think John was just telling me something about LUMN there. NVO just blasted $1.02. I know it's not a small cap, but it's going. I'm assuming, John, that it was moving in sympathy with mRNA. Let's have a look at NVO. Excuse me. Novo Nordisk. I don't know why this one shares up. Just looking for the headline. Yeah, that's not a bad look, man. This one did spike up quite nicely there. But this is the 5-minute. I think it's really been trending, John, since around 11:40. I mean, it got above VWAP at around 12. That was about 45 minutes ago. Look, NVO is one that we all know. Obviously, it's one of the main GLP-1 players. I probably won't trade that. Maybe Adara can give us her look later. But for the moment, we're going to send you up to set Adara because she's got our guest of the day.
Thank you so much for being back here with us. Stephen Gailey, the Executive Director and Head of CDR Sales for CIBC Global Markets. How are you doing this afternoon?
Doing very well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so happy to have you here. So we're all familiar with ADRs, or American Depository Receipts, but we're going to be learning about some CDRs today. So for those who aren't familiar, Stephen, can you give us a quick rundown on CDRs and what the benefits are to using this product?
Absolutely, yeah. So CDRs are a Canadian exchange-traded security that provides the ability to invest in U.S. and global equities in Canadian dollars and with a built-in currency hedge. So effectively, CDRs allow a Canadian investor to invest in U.S. or European names without owning the foreign currency where that company is domiciled. So while tracking the performance of the underlying shares, and that last point is key. So CDRs are designed to provide the performance of the underlying shares, regardless how that currency fluctuates throughout the holding period. And the team created the CDR security by borrowing from features of the ADR market and the ETF market as well. And CDRs are very much designed to have that same look and feel as a direct holding in a US or Euro stock, but with additional features that CIBC saw as enticing from the Canadian retail trading viewpoint.
Let's talk about some of those stocks, because I know you guys have some exciting new CDRs being listed. Can you tell us about those and about market growth in this space in general?
Yeah, it would be a pleasure. Yeah, over the calendar year, we've certainly seen an accelerated pace of adoption with the currency hedge feature of the CDRs really delivering well for Canadian investors. So the US to CAD rate has certainly brought some volatility to portfolios through the year. And the US dollar depreciation has resulted in CDRs generally delivering on higher returns when compared to the underlying securities they track in the US. So, and of course, in Canadian dollar terms. So with that added value from the hedge, we've seen large tranches tranches of especially managed money actually coming to the market, which has helped drive a $4 billion increase in CDR assets this year. So certainly happy with that. It's been exciting on this end to work with Canadian investors to continue to build out that diversified universe of names. And yeah, just today we added 2 new tickers on the TSX, Coinbase, the ticker Coin, and Lockheed Martin, ticker LMT, now accessible in CDR format for Canadian investors. So crypto, defense sectors certainly been in focus recently. So not so surprised to see so many hands up for those names.
Yeah, those are certainly 2 hot tickers and 2 hot sectors for sure. Now, I know you mentioned a little bit earlier that retail is something that might be looking here at CDRs, but have you noticed any trends in general about who's trading these CDRs? Is it more retail, more institutions, or is it a little bit of both?
Great question. Yeah, so we've actually been quite impressed with the breadth of investor interest. So from smaller DIY traders to discretionary portfolio managers, high-frequency trading firms, and recently more institutional asset managers as well. There's really been interest from all corners of capital markets, which has also brought a need to balance the offerings in a way that it continues to appeal to that wider audience. So, but speaking to retail adoption specifically, Canadians typically, of course, earn their salaries in Canadian dollars and spend in CAD as well. So removing that need to convert our loonie back and forth into a foreign currency has certainly brought some benefits there. For the more active traders in Canada, we've received quite a bit of feedback that the ability to transact and report in our home currency has been very much a game changer for them. And especially for the short-term holds, the possibility of currency unexpectedly impacting your returns is a factor that most investors would really like to remove from the investment equation, for Canadians at least. So with several market makers encouraging that efficient market and channeling that underlying liquidity, we've seen that active trader volume spike, and a handful of the CDRs are actually often seen in the top 10 for most actively traded names in Canada. And we'll see actually tomorrow how Nvidia does.
Yeah, it's definitely really exciting. With regards to that volume, can you talk a little bit more generally about what liquidity is like for CDRs? And have you seen, I guess, an uptick in liquidity as of late?
Certainly, actually. I think August is trending to be our most active month on record, which certainly not a slow summer for us, but we'll take it. Liquidity, it's a great feature to highlight, and many, of course, are familiar with how ETF liquidity is managed, and that's exactly the same for CDRs. So it's always important to remember that CDR volume doesn't necessarily reflect the full liquidity of that listing, and it's important to look through to that underlying stock or the CDR tracks to determine really where there is enough liquidity to execute your orders. So since we're only listing CDRs on large cap, mega cap names with really the highest trading volumes in the world, our market makers have a pretty easy job actually in channeling that underlying liquidity through the CDR. And then just speaking to the Euro CDR platform there that was launched just in February, I believe, of this year, there are nuances as Canadian market hours don't align fully with global market hours. So just quick tips there. We're really encouraging the audience to trade early. Trading Euro CDRs will generally be the most liquid in the first 2 hours of the trading day. And then after European exchanges close, since we're tracking those names, you should expect spreads to widen.
Yeah, you got into this a little bit, but I kind of want to expand on this a bit further if we can. Do you have any other trading advice for how to approach these CERs for those who are unsure or unfamiliar with regards to, I guess, intraday trading specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good practice to use limit orders. So similar to the ETF space, it's really to ensure that you're setting yourself up for best execution. So especially during those first and last minutes of the trading day when market making quote systems are calibrating through that opening volatility and closing volatility, limits are certainly your friend. And of course, ideally when trading those security like the Euro CDRs that have that short exchange overlap window, you don't want to be chasing fills when you're expecting market makers to widen those spreads within the same day. So generally 11:30 a.m. Eastern time is when you should be looking at any of your open orders and adjusting.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you for getting into those tips and tricks there. Now, I want to ask you here before we let you go, can you give us any hints about what's next with regards to the CDR offerings at CIBC specifically and this space in general? I know you said August so far has been a great month.
Yeah, great month for sure, and the fall is lining up to be an exciting one as well. So we've gathered quite a bit of feedback from both DIY investors and those professional PMs alike, and have a long list of takeaways to action on. So in the next year, we'll hopefully see a continued expansion of the US CDR program, especially based on active trader input. So adding some higher vol names to the program, like we see with today's new listings with Coinbase CDR, and unexpectedly, based on the recent news, Lockheed CDR has a lot more volatility in there than normal. So with a higher focus on that active crowd, we should see trading volumes hit new records, and a faster pace of growth in the CDR options market as well, which we're excited for, with more open interest, tighter spreads being a snowball effect there. And the team's really motivated to use 4 years earned experience to further develop new platforms like global CDR options that we've, again, just started to scratch the surface of. So certainly busy, and couldn't be more appreciative of the strong crowd of promoters for the product that's grown out of the self-directed space and active trader space in Canada.
Yeah, congratulations on the new listings, and thanks for going over all of that with us today. Thanks again to Stephen Gailey, Executive Director and Head of CDR Sales at CIBC Global Markets. Thanks for being here with us.
Pleasure.
Great information there. Thank you very much, Stephen, and great interview with Dara. Good to know about our options on this side of the border, Joe.
That was fantastic. As soon as I heard that word, obviously, you know, my ears start to perk up with that one. No, so really great stuff there, and phenomenal questions from Adara.
All right, let's get to work, Joseph. So it's time to do the news, baby, and there's plenty to go through today. So let's get set up and ready to go over here. We're going to start with the one everybody's waiting for after the bell. We're talking about Nvidia earnings. Oh, baby. These are going to be interesting. Nvidia earnings party today with Neil and Adara. Make sure to catch that. So Nvidia expected to post Q2 revenue about a little bit more than 46 billion, 46.02, which would be up 53.2% year over year. Obviously, the 53% growth, nothing to sneeze at, but it's definitely not 122%, which was what their their revenue growth was last year this time. We're also going to keep an eye on margins, gross margins, that is. How come? Because they're 70 some odd percent, which is already insane for a physical product. Usually you see gross margins 70, 80% for software or SaaS, right? You don't usually see it in the physical goods space. Nvidia, the outlying exception. We also want to hear about the hyperscalers. We're talking about the Amazons, the Metas, the Google. How much are they going to continue to buy and drive Nvidia sales? That's what we're talking about there. Because we got little, tidbits of information from people like Sam Altman of OpenAI that investors may be, to use his words, overexcited about AI, suggesting some maybe slow down risks there. And I also want to hear about monetization of the spend, of the CapEx. So far, Joey, it's not really the smaller companies that are spending on AI that are making money back. It's typically the hyperscalers. So I want to hear about what NVIDIA says about some of their customers' return on investment for these advanced AI chips. But this is what I made the TikTok video about yesterday, and this is what I'll be listening to today on the call from our Jensen and company. I want to hear about China. NVIDIA agreed, as we know, to pay the U.S. government about 15% of their China-specific revenue in exchange, of course, for the export license. Beijing, for their part, though, they're urging their companies like Tencent, Alibaba, Baidu, whoever else, these tech companies, not to use NVIDIA's chips. Specifically, they're talking about the H20. They say that there could be backdoors and or kill switches on these things. NVIDIA asked to halt production of the H20 in favor of a new China-specific variant called the B38, which is built on the Blackwell architecture. That's their most advanced chip so far. They're calling it the B30A as opposed to the B300. And Reuters reports that NVIDIA is developing that same chip, so we'll have to see what Jensen says about that and what he says about the regulatory headwind that he currently has in China. I'm all ears. And last but not least, Joey, want to hear about the supply chain. So demand for these Blackwell chips, the server racks, they're through the frickin' roof. And it remains very overwhelming for NVIDIA, who can't keep up with the demand on the supply side. So investors are watching for updates on NVIDIA's ability to expand their supply chains, and we know they're doing that as well with local production out in Taiwan Semi's Arizona fab. I want to hear more about that as well. Supply commentary, Joey, will be key, according to this article, in determining how fast NVIDIA can convert their backlog of orders into revenue.
Yeah. I want to touch on kind of the bubble comment that you had in there, Sharif, when Sam Altman saying that there's an AI bubble, I mean, he's a part of it. He has a valuation of $500 to $800 billion on OpenAI. So to say that a bubble you're not a part of, I would definitely have to disagree with that completely. As for the H20s, really curious about that as well too. But not just that, Sharif. I'm going to go back to what originally got me super hyped about NVDA, and that's the Gulf countries. How much more capex are they going to continue to spend? And I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, hey, well, watch out. We want to be the leaders as well too, and we know that those oil countries are extremely cash heavy.
They got a lot of money, Joey. They got a lot of money. The only thing kind of in their path, if anything, is a regulatory headwind, right? The Commerce Department. We don't want too many.
But the door is open now.
It's open now.
The door is open.
It's open now.
The door is open now. So if they want to come in and buy the GBs, whatever they want, they can just absorb them as much. But again, obviously, we know with TSMC, there's obviously going to be some demand issues on that front. So.
Adara, what's the main thing that I think you'll be kind of looking out for in the earnings? Like, what's that main thing you're focusing on?
I want to see the China impact. I think that's for sure, and I want to see, what do they disappoint on? What is a little imperfect with regards to NVIDIA? Because I've always said with NVIDIA, this is a situation where if you have even one tiny flaw, like I'll use an example, I'll use kind of a weird example. NVIDIA is like, the most anticipated beauty queen at a pageant. If she's got like a hair out of place, if she's got a little something off, they are going to give her a bad score. And I think that's kind of a weird analogy, but I think that's the case with NVIDIA because the expectations are so high. We've seen this in the past. If it disappoints even a little bit on gross margin, it'll get dinged. If it, guidance is a little bit off, it'll get dinged. But with that in mind, let's take a look here. So this is Q2 2026, fiscal 2026 for NVIDIA. Here are the expected moves and the consensus estimate versus year over year. So let's take a look. I mean, we are expecting a massive year over year increase in revenue and a significant year over year increase in earnings per share. This is yet to be posted on X. But yeah, I mean, I think a beat and raise is always great, but with NVIDIA, like I said, you can't just beat and raise. You have to massively exceed expectations, and I don't even know if that's possible with regards to the uncertainty over China right now.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. This is it's a very, very high expectation environment for NVIDIA. Couldn't agree with you more. I'd like to hear, I don't know how you feel about this. I'd like to hear about the robotics. Yeah. I know, I get it. It's like 1% of their revenue, and they conflate it with autos as well. So it's robotics and autos. They're putting, but Jensen said it himself. AI and robotics, the intersection between both, is basically their biggest mover other than data centers in the future.
I agree with that part. As we touched on yesterday as well too, Shreve, I think that specific section of NVDA has the most potential to grow. And with the robotics, we've seen Rich Tech Robotics breaking out as well too. Optimus starting to get into full-on production. So I like that they can potentially grow, and I think that can be an absolute game changer. And then an additional growth cycle within the company itself. So never mind the Grace, the Blackwells, and all these advanced chips. The robotics and obviously the automotive sector has, I think, plenty of room to grow, especially with autonomy starting to be.
Well said, Joey. VinFast delivered over 35,800 EVs in Q2 of 2025, marking a 172% jump from last year. That brings their first half total to more than 72,000 EVs. That's up over 220% year over year, guys. With stronger sales usually in the second half of the year, they're on pace to easily double 2024's 97,000 units delivered. They're also crushing it on the two-wheelers with nearly 70,000 e-scooters and bikes sold in Q2, up 432% from a year ago. And with gas-powered two-wheelers being phased out in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City by 2026, the growth potential looks huge. You can find them on the Nasdaq under ticker VFS. Shout out to the great folks. Are you highlighting this? Is it you that's highlighting?
Nope.
Oh, it's probably Brendo. All right, all good. Brendo, if you're watching, unhighlight, because it's highlighting it on my screen as well, Brendo. All right, let's go on to MongoDB, baby. They posted Q2 EPS of $1 a share, topping the consensus estimate of 96 pennies a share. Allow me a moment here. Of 96 pennies a share, up from 93 pennies that they printed last year. That represents a 56.5% year-over-year earnings surprise. That's why MDB is up a zillion% on the day. The company's beaten EPS estimates for the last 4 consecutive quarters. So with respect to shoring up costs, they're doing it and doing it well. Shout out to LL Cool J. Doing it and doing it and doing it well. You know that one?
Yeah, I know that one.
Attaboy, Joey.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the revenue, Joey. $494 million, so they're still under that $500 million revenue mark, but that surpasses the estimates. Street was looking for 477. They printed 494. That's about a 16% year-over-year increase as well. The growth was driven by steady adoption of its Atlas Cloud database platform, which accounts for about 65% of their total revenue. Despite the earnings strength, guys, MDB shares have lost, I don't know what the number is, about 6.2% year to date at the time of writing this article. And with respect to how the analysts and the street is looking at this company, they remain cautious with mixed revisions weighing on sentiment despite the earnings strength. Investors will be watching the revenue growth sustainability for the company and the margin performance. And I'll submit to you, their margin performance has been quite good because they beat on EPS 4 straight quarters. They're going to be looking for that, margin performance in the upcoming quarters as a sign of sustainability. And last but not least here, Joey, with respect to valuation and guidance, the current quarter consensus EPS estimate about 69 pennies. They're guiding on revenue of about $501 million, slightly below the prior growth rate. But that all is okay because their full year fiscal EPS and revenue reflects a steady growth and beating estimates there.
Absolutely. I don't know too much about the company. We'll touch on this here real quick, guys. I'm in some IBIT, really heavy here, but unfortunately it's starting to pull back against me. So I got to see if I can hold on or a potential add as the market starts to pull back in. But MDB. Oh, what's the ticker for MongoDB again? MNDB? DB. No.
Sorry?
What's the
MDB?
MDB,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
MDB. I thought so. Oh, I had MBD.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
as from a technical standpoint, guys, nice move. And I was looking at this morning. But again, you have this earnings report and you exceed it. It was up 30% in the pre-market. I'm like, is that right? So I had to go back and see what we had going on specifically. So some not bad numbers, but then you get this massive gap up here, Sharif, and then you have the indecision print as well right here. So yeah, that's huge. Crazy. So just keep an eye out. If you exceed this 289 level, then maybe you'll get some continuation through some key pivots. But other than that, keep an eye out for a potential retracement and then a partial gap fill before you continue in the northeast trajectory there.
It's a big move up, Adira. I mean, is it sustainable? The analysts are really looking for that continued EPS and revenue strength.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have to wait and see. I think this company has struggled, as you mentioned, and I want to say, that I mentioned this last night in the recap as well, this name is a propensity for large earnings moves. I just looked back, so not counting today's move, which is obviously double digits, the last 5 prior earnings reports, MDB made double digits moves. Most of them to the downside, 4 out of the 5, I believe. So this name usually drops down significantly on earnings. The fact that not only are we gapping up, but we're gapping up and holding the gap, I think that's significant. Again, that's more maybe a sign of how investors are viewing it than how it's being viewed by analysts and the fundamental side. But I think this is a good look. Like last time we did gap up, we still closed 12% higher, but we sold off of the highest point. Now it's also worth noting MDB has another bit of a negative catalyst. Earlier this year, it was removed from the Nasdaq 100 and replaced by Shopify. So it's got some strikes to its name, that's for sure. But I think this report, even with the growth slowing, I think it's a good sign. We're going to have to see if they can keep it up, though, for MongoDB. I think at $300 level, beyond the fact that it's obviously like a $100 level, it looks key on the chart. 300 could make it or break it, at least short term, for Mongo, in my opinion.
Absolutely, yeah. I get concerned sometimes about their concentration of revenue. 65% of their revenue comes from this Atlas Cloud database platform, which, that could be a little concerning, especially if there's a weakness in cloud. Now, we haven't seen that weakness, Dara. We haven't seen it with AWS. We haven't seen it with Azure, and we didn't see it with Google Cloud. This time around, they both grew revenue quite nicely. Also, Snowflake, Net, they also grew. So the cloud space continues to grow.
Well, I think Snowflake tonight, it'll be interesting to see what kind of growth they report because they did report tonight. But yeah, I mean, I think it's hard because there's so many cloud providers. Who wins the cloud race, right? That's my opinion. Like you can't have everybody be a winner. I also really quickly want to mention here, we did get the 5-year auction coming in here at 3.724%. a little bit above that previous print of around 3.71%. So nothing significant here. Worth noting the auction. MongoDB also is trying to break into new day's highs. So funny stuff.
I want to add something on the cloud. I think with cloud growth, and I mentioned this before, as long as these hyperscalers continue this CapEx heavy spend, AI spend, I think cloud's going to do just fine because we're thinking same thing with OpenAI, and then we also have the likes of Google striking that deal with Meta as well too. So it's just more CapEx, and sure enough, the cloud. I think cloud is going to highly.
And it's like all the people who have the money are spending it, which is the mag,
right?
Like,
exactly. So and again, to kind of go against what theirs, I don't think there has to be one specific winner, right? I think it's a kind of a neck and neck race between some of the big three names.
Yeah.
So
you got the big three players, right? With big two, and then maybe like a kind of big one. Google Cloud is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But you have some others as well throwing their hat in the ring.
Snowflake, like as Adara mentioned, Snowflake, etc. So yeah, there is some. I just think the space is going to continuously grow, and then obviously you got CoreWeave stepping into the game as well.
Oh yeah, and we're going to get to that one. They're raising money.
So
we're going to get to that.
Cloud spend is still full in effect.
It's bigly.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to Kohl's, baby, up 18.7%. There was a great report, but there are warning signs. We'll get to them. So as I said, great report, but let's get to the warning signs after this. EPS, 56 pennies. Destroying the 29 expected by the street on revenue of 3.35 billion, slight beat above the 3.32 there, so you could tell they're really focusing on costs as opposed to revenue growth. Their net income did rise. They took about $153 million home in profit on the quarter. That beats last year's quarter when they took $66 million home. So you can see that profitability continue to improve. Their net sales, though, and this is where it gets bad, it declined again. 3.53 billion was what they printed in revenue last year on the quarter. They printed 3.35 billion with comparable sales, meaning stores that have been open for over a year, down 4.2% year over year. They also narrowed their full year outlook. They're expecting negative growth, guys, negative 5 to 6% growth for the full year. That's a little bit better than what they were guiding before. They were guiding 5 to 7%. Of negative growth. So a bit better of expectations. Now with the revised EPS, full year EPS, they're guiding 50 to 80 pennies up from the prior guide that they issued of 10 to 60 pennies. So, most of that is good. Obviously the sales declining and the comparable sales they're not good, but we're going to get to some bad stuff now. Let's start with the leadership turmoil that's been taking place at that company. They've had 3 different CEOs in 3 years, complicating, obviously, the turnaround efforts that the company is trying to engage in. Michelle Gass left in 2022. She was dropping all sorts of gas. I had to kick her out of the, Anyway, Tom Kingsbury succeeded her, and then he was replaced by Ashley Buchanan, who was fired within 4 months following a probe into vendor conflict of interest. And then you had Michelle, a board member, Michael Bender, now serving as interim CEO. The CEO instability kind of highlights concerns about the strategic execution and the governance or lack thereof in the company. And there are a lot of concerns about the long-term outlook for this company. Let me give you some examples here. Their revenue has fallen consistently for 3 straight years, shrinking the market cap from back in 2021 when it was $7 billion down to $1.5 billion now. Retailer also recently changed the vendor payment terms to conserve cash, usually a move done by companies who are in trouble. For the company, for their part, they insist this is part of the efficiency reviews and it doesn't really denote anything different. The turnaround, though, Joey, remains challenged by slumping store traffic. We saw comp sales down 4.2% year over year.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you start running into the neck of woods of where you're having trouble paying your vendors or whatever's going on with that, it's not a good look. We've seen them move up here in Kohl's, high short float, roughly around 30% or so. So there you get that squeeze. But then if you look at the intraday price action, you don't get any form of a continuation in that. So maybe some covering. And then if you zoom out into a daily to see what this thing has been up to, it's tough. It's extremely, extremely tough. So, oh man, it's getting worse as I go back into time.
You don't drop from a $7 billion market cap 4 years ago to 1.5.
Yeah,
it looks good, Joey. You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, it's such a tough space. You don't. Me personally, I would be avoiding this at all costs. And if you have any form of an ability to get out, break even, I think now's the time to do so.
Is the market getting this wrong, Adara? Is this a company in a successful turnaround?
I mean, I think this company, we know in the past it has been a bit memey, but I'm going to focus a lot of my commentary here on this Ashley Buchanan thing because I find it fascinating, because I did do a quick deep dive into this. So for one, I mean, I'll mention this quickly too. The fact that Bloomberg News reported that Kohl's was seeking more time to pay vendors, it sells off right into the close, then it pops. That's interesting. I know some people I've seen it in the chat and just online saying, oh, that's, you know, kind of sketchy, whatever. I think the timing is interesting. I think releasing it right before the earnings is, I don't know, we'll wait and see. But yeah, either way, I think that is worth noting, and I just want to touch on that again. But here's what Ashley Buchanan did, because it's fascinating. So this man, right after becoming the CEO of Kohl's, which he actually joined in January of 2025, he makes sure that Kohl's, or several Kohl's stores, ink a deal here with Incredibrew. Now, Incredibrew is a startup run by a woman named Chandra Holt. Chandra Holt was secretly dating Ashley Buchanan, the CEO. Massive, massive conflict of interest. And before people even knew about the conflict of interest, they were already raising flags before the deal was signed, like, hey, it seems like it's a little too good for Incredibrew. Why would we do this deal as Kohl's? Well, then I guess he just casually admitted the relationship on April 30th when he was confronted. He's like, yeah, I mean, you know, we're dating. They'd previously worked together too, so it could not have been that hard to piece the things together. But either way, the next day he got fired. He was fired so quickly, apparently his bio stayed on the website for like a couple hours after, because they forgot to delete it. To be fair, Novo Nordisk did actually, I think, the same thing when they promoted the new man. So it happens sometimes, but either way, I'm amused by this. And apparently they think not only was it unethical, it might have actually fallen afoul of this act called the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. And that act apparently requires CEOs to disclose conflicts of interest before entering deals. Obviously, he didn't. The fact that was a vendor issue, and now they're apparently having issues paying their other vendors. I don't know. I think Ashley Buchanan was clearly a big L for the company. Let's see if this person can change it around.
Yeah, hopefully. You never really want to cheer for anybody failing, but we'll have to keep an eye out there. KSS up nice on the day, but as you heard, a lot of headwinds. Let's go on to Apple. They're setting their new launch on September 9th. It was widely speculated on the internet to be the 9th. And we're going to get a whole bunch of different new products. Let's talk about it. Apple confirmed its annual product launch will take place on September 9th, starting at 10 a.m. Pacific time, so it'll be 1 o'clock. So you'll catch that here on the Midday with Joey and I, obviously from their Cupertino campus. The invite tagline is, Joey, awe-dropping. Better not be messing with me this time, bro. I've got a lot of money in this. Raising expectations for a major reveal, Joey. The event will be pre-recorded and streamed online, continuing the same format they've been following since the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. Obviously, we're going to get a lot of different announcements, hopefully anyway, but one of the things that everybody's talking about is the iPhone. The iPhone 17 expected to headline the event, with analysts projecting multiple new models. We're going to get a slim version of the iPhone, according to reports on the net, which could debut designed with lighter weight and sleeker design in exchange for a smaller battery and less cameras. Apple may also unveil the new Apple Watch models. I want to see what the new Ultra looks like. Apparently, they've got a new design for that, so I'm all ears. And then the hardware specs and upgrades, right? The new iPhone lineup is anticipated to feature updated processors. We know that Apple Custom Silicon has been making its way on there. Technical upgrades aimed at maintaining Apple's premium edge. The design refresh could help reignite consumer demand amid increased competition from Android and slowing global smartphone sales. So you and I, we already talked about this off camera. I showed you the new phone, what it's expected to look like based upon what Apple sent to these people who have to make the cases and stuff for the phone. They have to have an idea about the shape. But Joey, let's just call a spade, get right to it. We're going to be listening for Apple Intelligence.
I'm sick of the hardware. I don't care about any more hardware updates, to be honest with you. Say Apple 16, 17, whatever it may be. Come on, bring me that software stuff. You can interpret ChatGPT now into Siri, which I really, really like. But again, with that keynote that we experienced earlier in the year, they set the bar extremely low. So now with the release of this new phone, I'm curious to see if they have anything new for us. I talked about it before. I think there's a couple things that Apple needs to do, and I don't know if they're going to go. I don't know if they're going to fall into that realm, Shreve. I think it's start to bring in some outside talent, get the Chrome deal done, and then also look into acquiring Perplexity. I don't think any of that is going to be done, honestly, from Apple. So for me personally, as a former shareholder, I'm sick of these hardware updates. I want to see some capital being spent, and then I also want to see some nice software updates as well.
I respect that. Of course, we definitely want a better Siri. We all know she's not up to snuff, especially as compared to Google.
It's horrible.
Go ahead, Joey.
Yeah. In Africa, a new generation of leaders is rising. The woman boss empowers them. We provide the training and mentorship women and girls need to start businesses, create change, and build sustainable futures. We've already impacted over 10,000 lives. Your contribution creates the next opportunity. Scan the QR code. Empower the next woman leader today, guys.
Adara, I'm not even going to set this up. Just come with it.
Sorry, I just had a bite of rice there. That's why it took a minute. Let's talk here about the Apple, which is, I mean, oh, the chart's not even up. There we go. Here's Apple. It is not the apple of my eye. And I mean, like, I don't know. I like that they're able to like fix their phones quickly if you have issues with your phones. I had an issue where my home button was casually not working. Yes, I have an iPhone that's old enough to have a home button. And then when I finally went to the Apple store, they fixed it for me pretty quickly. Like, what I'm trying to say is I think their customer service is good. I think aspects of the business are good. What is not good are these constant like launch events where you don't really launch anything except for investors' expectations for like 2 minutes. So the thing I think is really a big issue are these constant updates or rumors around the Siri upgrade. We know that's likely coming spring 2026, but I don't know why we keep waffling around like who it's going to be. Like, you're going to be getting this now in less than a year, and Apple still doesn't even seem to know who or how they'll be upgrading it. If you've seen the reports, like last week we got the Google Gemini report, and we're like, okay, that's awesome. They have a sense of direction. And then later in the report it said, oh, well, they're still considering Anthropic and themselves and having their own model. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I think they need to really do a quick refine. I think they need, like, you know, someone to kind of come in there, look at the plan, and give some feedback. Because right now I don't even think Apple has a plan for how they want to update this, and that is a bit concerning.
Yeah, well, I don't think I would go so far as to say is they don't have a plan from a $3 trillion company. I think they probably have a plan. Whether it's a good one or not is probably a different story. Here's my take on Apple. I think that the delay in Apple Intelligence has a lot to do with the persistent problem with AI to this day, which is hallucinations. I think that their standard for software and for accuracy is much higher than everybody else.
Absolutely.
They are not willing to put up with these glitches that are going to exist in the system. You're seeing it in Google's AI glitches all the time. Samsung has some stuff that they put onto their phones as well, glitches all the time. ChatGPT, the best one in the business, hallucinates all the time. I'm constantly having to change the years, Joey, from 24 to 25, as well as other stuff like that. So that's just my personal opinion. No evidence to back it up, but I think that we have a problem with AI, a technical problem that hasn't been solved by the industry, and Apple refuses to put a product out there. Go ahead, Adara.
Yeah, I mean, I think with regards to like hallucinations, I think just to echo what you guys are saying about maybe buying Perplexity, in my opinion, Perplexity for a lot of things is kind of, I think, the most effective one. Like for using my infographics, I always end up doing my own research, but sometimes if there's like too much, I'll be like, you know, kind of help get me a little bit, like start me somewhere, get me links, you know what I mean? And so I find like if you ask ChatGPT things, half the time it just doesn't know what it's doing, and even when you try to correct it, it won't be corrected. Like one time, and I think I said this story before, I asked, hey, can you get me a list of all the CEOs of Starbucks? And then it stops at Laxman, and I'm like, you're missing somebody, and it's like, who am I missing? And I'm like, I shouldn't have to tell you that. But I think for like, you know, I think Perplexity is maybe ahead of the game. It's still not perfect, but I think you're right. Like the hallucinations and just the lack of ability to get information is a bit concerning, especially accurate information. Like even ChatGPT half the time thinks Trump is the former president. So,
same with me.
I think that needs to be like the ultimate issue. And then you wonder, kind of to the point you were trying to make as well, like, should AI be a little bit better before we start getting it on iPhones? That maybe is a question as well.
To add to okay, so I'll start here.
Go.
Steve Novak, big Apple guy, right?
Yes.
Dan Ives, obviously a tech bull.
Yes, he's an Apple bull as well.
Essentially says that Apple has a 0% chance of getting it right internally. All right. Now let me put this. Let me add this. He said he had a better chance of making the NBA than Apple getting it right.
Wow.
That's what Dan Ives said.
Talk about hyperbole there.
I love Dan Ives, but the analogies are crazy, and he actually recycles them sometimes. Like he said a couple times that different companies' earnings reports belong in the Louvre. Like if you're going to use analogies,
in the Louvre,
especially for people with eidetic memories who are going to know that you're using old analogies.
Now, to add to what I was saying, I think that if Apple gets it right, there's going to be no other company that can even closely compete if they do get it right, it's just going to blow everything out of the water, in my opinion, because they're also 3 years behind the rest of the pack. So I think if they've been working on it consistently and they get it right, which apparently they won't, but I think that they have a chance to. I'm going to give probably one of the largest companies on the planet, probably one of the most successful companies on the planet, the benefit of the doubt that they will get it right. They're just extremely, extremely late to this dance.
I agree with you. And I just want to say one thing, that the hallucinations problem is actively being worked on. I'm sure you guys could assume that. But from a practical perspective, Starbucks actually one of the leaders in trying to actually weed out hallucinations. So they are in trying to install
Starbucks?
It's so weird. Well, how and why, Joey? Because basically they're trying to put this computer system to help their baristas so they can figure out how to make drinks super quick and increase the efficiency and the speed. And so what is happening to them and everybody else who uses AI is that it's hallucinating and telling the baristas wrong information, and they're making the drinks wrong. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to weed out that hallucination at that level. Whether or not they get it right, we'll have to wait and see, like everybody else.
And also, let's just say, when did GPT come out? 2022?
November 2022.
We're 3 years in. This is like the second. Go back to Dan Ives. We're in the second inning of this, if that. In my opinion, it's endless. The potential is as far as the mind can go, and to say that we're in the second inning, I think that we're right at the start of it. We're in the pregame warm-up, in my opinion.
All right, I'm just going to bring one quick stock to your attention over here. This was one that we were talking about a lot. PNTM, Bovin, if you're still there, took out the pre-market high. It's really going right now. PTNM, breaking out up 75%, a few shekels off that day high. Shout out to our friend Nimrod. All right, let's go on to Canada Goose. Shares jump on privatization bid. So Bain Capital, which is the controlling shareholder of Canada Goose, if you don't know what this is, they make the winter coats, is exploring bids to take the winter clothing maker private. Get it, Katina, man. Goldman Sachs apparently also involved. They're advising on the potential deal, according to CNBC. But you have this Boyu Capital and Advent International. They've made verbal bids for Canada Goose. The bid values here are about 8 times its 12-month average EBITDA, or about $1.35 billion. The current valuation, though, remains far below the company's 2028 peak of $7.7 billion. So that would put, Bain Capital a little bit out of the money. But when you look at it a bit more, their original investment, this fly's driving me nuts, their original investment was $250 million back in 2023. So even if you have a valuation of 1.35, they're still well in the money there. The stock reacted, it was up 7 2/3 in the pre-market. I'm not sure where it's at right now. It's gained about 21% year to date at the time of the writing of this article. And the next steps and the timeline here could be a bit vague, but Bain is holding off apparently on any final decisions until additional bids come in. I guess they want to get a bidding war to get the best price. Once a buyer is chosen, due diligence, though, is expected to take about 2 months before final agreement is signed, Joey. So Canada Goose, a company we all know very, very well on this side of the border.
Yeah, I mean,
it's going to go private.
It's pretty popular. I think it's a pretty popular brand. I know the UK, they love it in the UK. They're wearing it all the time. From a technical standpoint, it's not looking too great here. We go back in time. It's best if we go to a weekly. Okay. Excuse me, I got the hiccups here. Yeah, so $72.
Look at those
you're
lower
trading.
highs,
It's not too good of a look. And I think with a lot of these retail names, it's the same narrative there, Sharif. You're hot one day, you're not the next day. But one thing that I will know, and sorry to kind of digress from what we got going on, we're hot there in IBIT. Yeah, finally, and I added right there as well too. So finally getting something really rocking and rolling for us here. But as for Canada Goose, buy the jackets. Don't buy the stock, in my opinion.
Dijon Mustard with a great comment here. Private equity dropped the quality of my Dr. Martens. Obviously, it's not directly relevant, but I guess your point here is well taken. Does the quality of the product continue to drop if it goes private? As you know, obviously, profits and margins will be in focus. Adara, what's your take on this whole buyout thing? I mean, is this a nothing burger?
Yeah, I honestly don't think it's that big of a deal. And I think what's pretty interesting, too, is when I looked at the market cap for this, when I was covering it during small cap recap, admittedly, it's not a huge small cap. But regardless, it's already at like $1.35 billion. That's around rumored what the buyout price is going to be valued at, like 1.35, 1.4. So it seems like maybe it's accurately priced. I don't know. I mean, I don't have too much to say on this. I will say I can provide a little bit of insight on the business side of things. I did work at a coat company, Canadian-based coat company, on the retail side for like 18 months going back to 2018 to 2020. And I will say, like, there's a lot more demand, I think, for these coats than you think, but there's also a lot of Canadian competitors too. So,
Oh, yeah. Moose Knuckles,
there's Moose Knuckles,
Parajumper,
Keo, which is a sister company of Macaj,
Montclair,
competitor, Rudsack, right? So, like, I
Rudsack.
would have to go into the stores and, like, do, like, you know, competitive analysis and stuff, like, well, what are the other people selling? Like, and so I will say this market is pretty competitive. I don't know. Again, this is like a couple of years out, so I don't know if it's still that way. But yeah, we'll have to see if how Canada Goose performs. One last thing. Shout out to Pressa, because I can literally not think of Canada Goose, the company, without thinking of that ridiculous song.
That song is horrible. I don't think Sharif knows who.
I know who Pressa is. I don't know the song, and I certainly don't associate Canada Goose with Pressa. I mean,
No, there's.
take it easy, Ram Ram.
Yeah, like,
I don't hear
relax.
a peep out of you all day, and that's
like,
what sets you off, Ram Ram. So funny. All right, Joey, let's go on to a much less controversial story, Joseph.
Okay, all right, sorry.
Let's go on to Cracker Barrel.
Ooh, oh wow.
No controversy here whatsoever. Let's
Bitcoin.
get it.
Oh my.
You want to take him through the trade?
Man,
You want to take him through the trade?
What a grind I've been through, guys. You've been sitting here with me throughout the whole session, and what a grind I've been sitting through today, and just to kind of put this finally on. All I was asking was just give me one solid setup that I can get rocking and rolling here. And I told Sharif that I was like, hey, let's do this thing here. And then I added even more. So what I took off, sitting through this, if you guys weren't, Sharif was talking to me, and I kept looking back. It's just because I had to focus on that. Volume kicking in on Bitcoin. We finally got that trade. That's all it takes is one good trade. And it's unfortunate that it took the majority of the session to get it rolling. But thank you for kind of sticking with me on this one. I'm thankful. What a relief, man.
All right, let's talk about Cracker Barrel there, Joey.
Yeah.
They announced it will scrap its controversial new logo after heavy criticism from customers and public figures. The company confirmed that its original old-timer logo, I guess that's what it's called, will remain, saying it listened to guest feedback and reaffirmed its focus on tradition and hospitality. But we know there was plenty of pushback. The White House included President Donald Trump publicly called for the reversal earlier Tuesday, praising the move, or publicly called for the reversal, and then he praised the move as $1 billion worth of free publicity. Yeah, I guess all publicity is good publicity, according to Donald. He congratulated the company on reverting, urging them to make Cracker Barrel a winner again. I love this winner again, kind of great again theme that he's got. But there was fallout. So the scrap logo had removed Uncle Herschel character and the yellow barrel, leaving only the Cracker Barrel in a minimal design. Social media reaction was overwhelmingly negative, with users labeling it, as soulless, bland, and generic. The stock had flipped after unveiling, but rose in after-hours trading, Joey, following the reversal. Is this a nothing burger, or are we kind of making, is this another Sydney Sweeney type thing again?
Brother, this is a nothing burger with every single topping that you can put on that.
All right.
Yeah. Like
even mayo, huh?
Even everything, brother.
Mustard?
All of it.
Get it, Joey.
Everything. Like, you're putting relish and pickles on there. It's essentially the same thing. That's how big of a nothing burger this is. They just literally took an individual off the picture and then just had the Cracker Barrel sign there. I don't understand what the big issue is about
Joseph,
that.
I need to pause for a second. Can you tell us how you really feel, though?
It's nothing. I'm hungry, and it's a nothing burger. And I'm
always hungry, bro.
I'm gonna put Cracker Barrel cheese on that nothing burger. That's how big of a nothing it is.
Adara, is it a nothing burger?
No, I think calling it a nothing burger is actually, I think, missing the point. I'm gonna be
Get him, Adara.
honest. Let me tell you why. Because Joe, yes, I think the logo change is a nothing burger. I think people are way overreacted, but the fact that they reverted it back after Trump posted on Truth Social, I think that is a very serious precedent that we need to take seriously. Now, with that in mind, AEO, they didn't do anything. He praised the ad. He said the jeans were flying off the shelves. That's a little different. This is the first time I think that we've really seen where he's called for a company to change something, and they've changed it. And that, I think, shows, I know we're worried about, I'm going to take this a little bit political because I think we kind of have to, because I have a very different take on this story. I think that, we already see he's trying to get into the Fed independence. He was very gleeful about his Fed majority yesterday during the 3-hour-long cabinet situation that I watched. And so he was very excited about we're going to have a majority on the Fed. I'm going to have my majority. So we know he wants that. We know he enjoys asserting that influence. So with that in mind, doing so with a public company and then posting a gleeful little parody image of yourself as the logo afterwards.
Show us that, Adara.
I'm trying to, but my computer's frozen. I have the image up and everything. I'm so sad. But you can check it out on X at TTV Research if your computer isn't frozen.
Go.
But what I will say is, yeah, I just think that the precedent is a little bit worrisome. And I think, like, Joe, I do agree with you. It's a nothing burger in the fact that I don't know why people got so upset about the logo in the first place. But the fact that they changed it after this influence, I think I want to see where this goes from here. Like, I did a whole infographic on this, a series you can read about on X. And one thing I will say, too, is that we've gone from Trump opining about these companies to actually getting involved in the companies themselves. And I do think that, thank you for putting it up there. I really appreciate it, too, whoever did that, because I struggled with that. But, yeah, I think the fact that you've got Intel there as well, INTC, which we have the government having a stake in, they're getting involved in the company, then they're, helping change the branding of a different company. I wonder if we see more of this, and if we do, there will be more Truth Social posts. But, yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see.
Thank you for that, Dara. Yeah, well said. Let's go on to the next one over here. We're going to talk about Octa. They reported earnings after the bell yesterday, and they upgraded their guidance. So let's talk about the report. EPS came in at 91 pennies, beating the 84 expected by analysts and the street on revenue of 728 million, easily beating the 711 expected by analysts, and also increasing 13% year over year on the quarter. Net income climbed $67 million. That's their take-home money, about 37 cents a share. It's up from the $29 million they took home last year on the quarter. So you got to like that top and bottom line beat, everything looking hunky-dory there. Let's talk about their business momentum and their retention. CEO Todd McKinnon said the results were much better than had been expected with federal contracts, though. They saw delays in restructuring as a result of DOGE, but renewals for their services remain strong. So no net new spending, but renewals looking good. That's something, possible silver lining here to the good report. Net retention rate remains steady at 106%, showing stable customer expansion, and AI adoption here is expected to boost the future demand for their identity solutions. Now, their guidance. What are they guiding? They're guiding Q3 EPS of around 74 to 75 pennies on revenue of $728 to $730 million. That's in line with the consensus. Their full year 2026 guidance, they raised that, though. That's why this is good. They're looking for earnings per share to come in at $3.33 to about $3.38 on revenue of $2.87 billion to $2.885 billion. That's above prior guidance and prior expectations by the street. So a good look there. Octa did announce its own acquisition of Axiom Security as well, expanding into data access management. The CEO criticized Palo Alto Networks, PAN-W, saying that their CyberArk acquisition he said that, the bundled approach hurts customers. So, which is kind of funny because he bought Axiom Security anyway. So that's a look there, Joey. It's a fantastic report. However way you split it, what's a look here?
Yeah, let's take a look at OKTA and see what we got going on from a technical standpoint. All right, so there, the earnings report, nice move. And without me even looking at what the expected was, at the break of this 5-minute candle, that's usually when you start to exceed that move. So you get that continuation. But throughout the intraday session, you don't get any of that, all right? So it just essentially barcodes and moves sideways. So now let's zoom out and see what we got going on from a daily standpoint is that, hey, we have this massive gap that we can potentially fill between 120.87 and then also between 112.80. Now, with that earnings report, we are consistently forming these higher lows, which is not good for this to potentially break at any time soon, rejecting this trend line and now filling that opening gap low to the downside. And I'm going to suspect that OKTA might continue to bleed after the report.
Okay, Adara, take care of your computer. Let us know when everything's okay. Let's go on to the next story here. The U.S. is doubling tariffs on India, 50% as a result of today. Oh, baby. This could be very interesting. So President Trump is doubling tariffs on Indian imports, which took effect today, Wednesday, raising duties to as much as 50% on goods like garments, jewelry, footwear, furniture, sporting goods, and chemicals. Tariffs now match the steepest U.S. levels against comparables like Brazil and China. The move combines Trump's earlier 25% tariffs on Russian oil-linked imports with a new 25% tariff on Indian goods, citing New Delhi's Russian oil purchases. We know that's been a sticking point for Washington in their negotiations with New Delhi. They want to weaken Russia's ability to conduct war, obviously for a separate issue with the negotiations between Zelensky and Putin. Let's talk about the currency impact here. Indian equities and the market and the currency impact. So Indian equities had their worst session in 3 months on Tuesday ahead of the confirmation. The rupee fell for the 5th straight session in a row. And here's the deal, though. Nearly 55%, listen to this, Joseph, 55% of India's $87 billion exports to the U.S. could be hit. Could be covered under this 50% tariff, with rivals like Vietnam, Bangladesh, and China all gaining share at India's expense. Export-heavy states, though, like Gujarat, face job losses, and estimates suggest up to 2 million people's jobs are at risk if these tariffs are prolonged for any, long time. The move follows 5 rounds, though, guys, of failed negotiations between the two parties, where India had hoped for tariffs to be capped at 15%, like some U.S. allies. We're talking about Japan, South Korea, the European Union. They're all getting 15%. Washington, for their part, they cite India's Russian oil purchases as funding Moscow's war, while India has called it double standards, pointing to Western trade with Russia. The 2024 bilateral goods trade, listen to this, 2024 goods between the two countries, $129 billion in goods traded between India and the United States, with a almost $46 billion trade deficit favoring India. So India has more to lose here, clearly, than the United States. Last but not least, Joey, tariff risk is undermining India's appeal as an alternative to China, which we know Apple's trying to take advantage of in the global supply chain for smartphone, electronics, and apparel.
Great stuff. New traders, listen up. First month free. That's right. We're waiving fees. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to Elite. Analyze, strategize, capitalize. Our platform means everything. Infinite data, instant trading, lightning fast market insights, game-changing charts, predict with backtesting, reliable real-time data, global markets at your fingertips. All in one platform. Don't miss out. Execute your best trades now. Ready to elevate your trading? Scan the QR code or check the link in the description. Now, as for the tariff trace, I'm actually really curious to how this can affect a company like Apple, considering that they're starting to move a lot of the supply chain over to India. But it's like, hey, they're going to get slapped with 50%. We still don't even have a complete China deal just yet. So what is Apple sitting here thinking? At the end of the day, is it almost best for me to start building some more fabs in the United States and start building the iPhone here? I don't know. But if you're getting tariffed left, right, and center, and every country that essentially is assembling your phones, you're pretty much stuck in between a rock and a hard place, I think, at that point.
But I just want to point out that Apple is exempt from these. Otherwise, Apple's stock would have been
is it exempt?
Today.
Okay, so it's exempt.
Think about it, right?
Okay, so that's
fair.
fair.
Most of these U.S.-destined iPhones are now coming from India. So can you imagine 50% or 25% addition, because there was already 25 on there.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be interesting to see whether Apple gets added to that, and that's a card Donald still has that he can play.
Right.
Think about that. So you're absolutely right. Adira, what's the angle we should be taking here on this India tariff headline? Are we covering it the right way? Is there any other way that you see it?
Yeah, I apologize. I still have to get my Unity plugged in, and then I can press the button.
It's fine.
Just got back to the desk. Is it working now? Can you all hear me? Perfect. Okay, sounds good. So let's talk about Apple for a second. Or sorry, not Apple. India for a second here. Yeah, I think with regards to Apple, we know that, I know they're exempt because weirdly, the way the U.S. set up tariffs, almost everyone that is a major player is kind of exempt of U.S. in the U.S. So that catch-22 aside, we know that Trump was not happy with Tim Cook talking to India in the first place, right? Like, we know during that weird press conference where he's like, I'm not going to say the name, but there's a country they're trying to get into. And, like, that was India. We all know it was India. Tim Cook knew it was India. Everybody knew it was India. You know what I mean? So it's like, I wonder if I don't think it's like a proxy war with regards to that, but I think that angle is interesting because we know he was very annoyed at the way companies are trying to get around the China issue by just flipping to India. But yeah, I mean, I think as well, like Modi, I was reading somewhere, it hasn't been returning like the calls of different leaders. I don't know. I think there's some stuff going on there. I want to see if and when he responds. That could be interesting.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, I read that like a couple days ago, and I was like, that's something I filed in the back of my Rolodex in my brain. But yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to say on this. I want to wait and see more what happens. But you're right. It's interesting that he's taking the tack of like China and Brazil here. Yeah. That's usually something he's reserved for situations where there's a lot of animosity. Or
do you think it has a lot to do with the Russia-Ukraine thing, which is
other than that? Yeah, I mean that's probably the one element, and they've been pretty open about that. But for them to double it overnight is a bit extreme.
Yeah, it is. I agree. Let's go on to the next topic because we've got a lot to go through. We'll remain on the tariff theme here. This time we're going to talk about the European Union. Apparently, they're racing to strike a deal with the U.S. So the European Union is moving to fast-track legislation by the week's end to remove all tariffs on U.S. industrial goods, a key demand by Donald Trump in the negotiations between the two states. The EU will also extend preferential tariff rates on select seafood and agricultural goods to meet the U.S.'s terms. The EU leaders here, listen to this, Joey. The EU leaders admit the agreement favors the United States, but argue it's needed to provide stability and certainty for businesses. So we've been always talking about this being a zero-sum game. Yeah. Maybe it doesn't end up being a zero-sum game. Maybe somebody actually benefits more than the other. Yeah. Let's go on, and I'll get your commentary in a second, Joey. Commission President Ursula von der Leyen called it a strong, if not perfect deal. Interesting words. The deal comes despite Trump's ongoing threats to tariff nations with digital service taxes. More on that in a second. Raising questions about the future of the EU-US frictions around tech regulations. You'll recall Canada had a digital service tax that they quickly scrapped because the U.S. threatened to end all negotiations. But what really stands out here is the auto industry, especially for Germany. So European autos and parts currently face a 27.5% tariff on U.S. exports. Under the New Deal, American tariffs on nearly all EU goods would fall to about 15%, actually exactly 15%, but cars remain excluded until the EU passes industrial tariff legislation. If the legislation is proposed this month, the 15% tariff on cars will be backdated, believe it or not, to August 1st. And Germany here especially is exposed, exporting $35 billion worth of cars and parts to the U.S. just in 2024. You've got to assume it's probably higher this year, Joey. The European Commission as well will skip its usual impact assessment process to move quickly and meet Trump's conditions. This is interesting, dude. I didn't anticipate the European Union would be bending this much.
Hey, listen, our guy Lutnick said it best. If you want a piece of the American economy, it's going to come at a cost. And then that's essentially why we're restructuring all of these deals. So for me, that's exactly where I stand on this. If you want a part of the American consumer, that is what is going to happen. You're going to have a tariff deal that isn't going to lean in your favor. America first, and that's Donald Trump's obviously motive right now, and I think that's the way that he needs to go. It's going to come at a cost. If you want a piece of the economy, if you want to take share of it, then sure enough, you're going to have to pay a tax at the end of the day.
Yeah, you want, like, let's just call a spade a spade. They have very rich population, relatively speaking, of course, of the rest of the world who have more buying power, and then you want access to that market.
Absolutely.
Dara, this is an interesting story, especially for Germany, so exposed to the auto industry. But what really stood out to me, I don't know if it stood out to you, was the concessions that the EU was willing to make.
I mean, I think they've realized they're going to have to make some concessions or they're just not going to get a deal, right? But what I think is more interesting, too, is even like we've just had these two tariff talks. I remember when Trump used to say that the tariff letters were the deals. So now clearly they're willing to, I guess, negotiate a bit more than they initially said they were going to. Now, one thing that worries me, and I'm not going to speak directly to EU, I'll just speak in general. Sure. How many more can of worms are going to be open now that we know they're a little bit more, I guess, willing to have these talks, right? I have a feeling that these tariff discussions are going to extend far, far, far beyond what we thought, or was initially intended, what we thought was going to happen. So, and I want to see what other countries get brought back into
us, Adara.
Other than
us, Kuzma, You know Kuzma is up for renewal in a year or two. The tariffs that we have now, that 30 some odd percent, is on like 9% of goods. 90 some odd percent of there are protected under Kuzma, which is going to get renegotiated. Yeah. There's no way he strikes the same deal. We're going to get rinsed here. Let's just call a spade in a year or two. Tariff deals are not done.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is I was reading this. I don't even know where this report was from. I was reading this note that apparently the Canadian companies so far, what they're trying to do is they're trying to eat the tariffs themselves to avoid having to pass it on to the consumer, which is very Canadian of them. You know what I mean? I like the politeness, all of that. But at a certain point, you're going to have to face the facts. And unfortunately, the Canadian consumer will get hit. And I'm not trying to be biased towards Canada here. I'm saying everybody's going to be in a situation where you have to choose, do your companies get eaten? Or do the people, unfortunately, have to deal with it? So we'll wait and see what happens. I don't know. I think it could get pretty dicey for everybody involved. But the fact that they're open to negotiations just across the board, I think we're going to get way more tariff talk in the coming
Agree.
Sure.
Agree. We're gonna have to wait and see how that all works out. Let's go on to the next story. We've got 15 minutes. This is an interesting one here. Everybody should be interested in this one. So lawyers for Elon Musk have asked a U.S. judge to block OpenAI from forcing Meta to hand over documents tied to Elon's attempted acquisition of OpenAI back earlier this year for $97.5 billion. Musk's side argues that OpenAI has already got the relevant documents from him and his AI startup XAI, calling further discovery irrelevant and overreaching at this stage. OpenAI, they counter back. They're like, look, we're requesting targeted documents here, not expansive, covering a narrow time frame. That time frame being obviously the time that Elon was pursuing Mark Zuckerberg to basically help him acquire OpenAI for $97.5. OpenAI claims many bid communications were oral, meaning depositions as well of Elon and XAI representatives and potential co-bidders like Zuckerberg are critical. So it's not just documents that OpenAI wants. No. They want Musk under oath. They want Zuckerberg under oath answering questions because they're alleging that the communications between the two were oral and therefore not documented. The legal background of the case is such. In August, Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers ruled Musk must face OpenAI's claims that he tried to harm the company through lawsuits, social media, and a sham bid for that $97.5 billion. Musk originally sued OpenAI and Altman last year over the company's shift to a for-profit structure. OpenAI countersued in April of this year, accusing Musk of harassment and anti-competitive tactics. A jury trial, Joey, is scheduled for the spring of next year, setting up years of legal overhang for both companies. I love the saga between Altman and Musk.
But listen, this guy's just spending money on lawyers, same with Altman. But at the end of the day, I just think his ego is hurt considering what Sam Altman's doing, going from an open source, trying to turn it into a closed source, and obviously become profitable. But I talked about Sam Altman being a part of the AI bubble as well, too. But that's irrelevant of considering what's going on. But the unsolicited bid for OpenAI between Musk and or between Musk and Zuckerberg, at the end of the day, it is what it is, Sharif. That this guy wants to try to acquire it. Can he do a hostile if it does turn public? Maybe, possibly. But he's just frustrated because he's not the best LLM out right now. And I think that's where...
And even if he is, he's definitely not the one with the most users.
Exactly.
Yeah, even if...
and he has a whole social media platform. Listen, ChatGPT was one of the fastest growing apps of all time.
Oh, yeah.
But think about it. Elon's made some mistakes. I think he paid too much for X, in my opinion, like way too much. And then now he's frustrated because obviously Apple has GPT as one of the top apps on the App Store. And now he's just mad. His ego is hurt. And I think because he has the money, he's doing it because he can.
Adara, does Musk have a case because of how OpenAI switched from a nonprofit to a for-profit? The reason I say that is if you're anticipating somebody to be in competition with you, all of a sudden if you're not anticipating, somebody to be in competition with you because it was supposed to be not for profit, are they then allowed to take advantage of all the benefits that come for nonprofit and outdo you because they get better tax advantages? Cover it however you want it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point, but I think too, Elon has taken way too many approaches to this issue. Like, does he want to acquire them? Does he want to sue them? what does he want? And I think you're right. Like, it all comes from that issue of competition. But in that case, then pick a way to approach it, Elon. You can't be mad about, like, you can't try to buy them or, acquire them and then also, like, sue them. Like, what do you want to do here? We understand. I think I totally agree with what you're saying, that is the core issue, is that he's upset about the competition. But then pick one way to approach that, because he's spreading himself very thin. Now, as Joe mentioned, he paid a lot of money for Twitter. I actually have this infographic, which we reposted yesterday on X at TTV Research. This man here, Elon Musk, just casually buying a public company. So he's willing to do pretty wild things to, get a leg up in different avenues. The way that he's transformed X from just, a social media company into having its own AI branch is, I think, legitimately impressive. But at a certain point, how many efforts can one man take part of? How many legal battles can one man do? Like, I don't know. I think he's spreading himself really thin. I think this is just one example.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I'd be happy to hear the last of this story. I'm not going to lie. Like,
they
had their funny little Twitter beef, scam Altman, all that. That was good. But now I'm like, how many more updates of this do we need? I'm getting a little bit Musk Altman fatigue here.
Okay, all right. But no, they are quite litigious here, though. Like, they're always suing each other back.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing with Elon. We talked about this. He's in love with somebody one day, and then the next thing he's saying, drop the files the next day, right? So it's so irrational. His purchase of X, in my opinion, is irrational. What he's doing here, his spute with Donald Trump, irrational. He goes on these tirades because he sees red. He has the capital to do so, and I don't think there's too much thinking behind it. He's an extremely smart man, but he just does things out of anger, in my opinion.
I agree. I think he definitely reacts sometimes. But I also want to say this doesn't help Tesla shareholders, again, who are dying for him to focus on the company.
It's just like, dude, drop it and focus on Tesla. Focus on Optimus. Look at the brand damage that he went through previously, like 4 or 5 months ago,
He suffered, man.
Suffered.
Have still you not suffering. We're not even close to highs.
That shows you, in my opinion, that he essentially doesn't care about the shareholder.
Yeah, I don't like that. I hope he doesn't feel that way. I hope he doesn't feel that way, but his actions have shown otherwise. I agree with you.
So his actions have not shown otherwise.
All right, let's go on to this. This is a very interesting story. Trump administration considering taking stakes in defense contractors. So let's get right to it. So your boy Howard Lutnick was on TV yesterday, and he said Trump administration is discussing stakes in defense giants. We're talking about Lockheed. We're talking about Boeing. We're talking about Palantir, okay? He noted that Lockheed derives 97% of their revenue from the U.S. government, effectively making it what he called, quote, an arm of the U.S. government. The plan here reflects the Trump's administration's push for greater federal role in private business, a move typically seen during wartime or national times of crisis. The market reaction here was mostly positive. Lockheed Martin shares rose 1.6% in pre-market. Boeing was up 2.8%, and Palantir reversed losses yesterday to finish up 1.4% on the day. Investors view possible government stake as supportive to the defense demand and long-term revenue certainty. Analysts, for their part, though, they're warning that closer ties could reduce the corporate independence of these companies, prioritizing financial returns over the broader strategic oversight. And now, there is a pattern of intervention by this administration. They recently took, as you know, a 10% stake in Intel. They also have a $500 million investment in MP Materials. They got the golden shares, Joey, in U.S. Steel after that Nippon Steel acquisition. And they also brokered a deal with AMD and Nvidia for 15% of their China chip sales revenue, right to the taxpayer. There's the political and strategic backdrop here is also quite important. Trump's interventions have created unusual, though, bipartisan support for this. You got Bernie Sanders backing his Intel stake, citing national interest. Lutnick emphasized, Joey, that firms seeking federal help must accept Trump's conditions. If we are adding fundamental value to his business, he said, it's fair for Trump to think about the American people. Your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. And we talked about this, you and I, this morning. I think that if the government's going to give you a subsidy and give you this free money, they're going to get something in return. Obviously, you don't want the government to take any form of control. So we mentioned this, just common stock, no voting power whatsoever.
Bang.
But also, if you're getting this money, we want to see something in return. And we've seen it in the likes of all of these chip names starting to invest significantly, heavily more into America. And I think that's one thing that really, really important to note is that you're not going to get this money for free anymore. We're getting something in return.
Adara, is this a slippery slope? Do we need to start being careful here about government control in private business?
Well, I already just said, I think with regards to Cracker Barrel, that's another way that we have the government, or at least, President Donald Trump trying to weasel into these public companies and how they operate. And I mean, that's something, is pretty innocuous. It's about a logo, but the Intel thing was a step. Now, I guess a step in a more intense direction. With regards to the defense companies, though, I do want to clarify. We did have Lutnick saying that, the U.S. government should and maybe will get involved with these investing in these defense companies. But I was 90% sure I saw this, and I did just check to clarify. Bessent does not agree. Scott Bessent is not in that camp. He said this morning that he does not know if the U.S. should be taking stakes in these defense companies. He also said that they certainly probably don't need to take a stake in Nvidia. So it sounds like Bessent is a little bit more on the conservative, hesitant side when it comes to these investments. And we know that there's been a bit of a discrepancy, I would say more like earlier in the new administration, between what Lutnick says and what Bessent says. Lutnick tends to be a little bit more on the wild side of things, on the far end of the spectrum of things that are later proven to be untrue or like that, are walked back on by the administration. Bessent tends to be a little bit more level-headed. With that in mind, I'm more likely to believe Bessent here than Lutnick, because I think Lutnick tends to have pretty lofty ambitions, and then we'll never hear. Like, I remember when he was saying, Trump's going to talk to Xi tomorrow in like March. And then we know that didn't happen.
Yeah, that didn't happen,
So that's what I'm trying to say, right? I think I'm always very careful with the source for a lot of these things. And I don't know. I think Bessent might be a more reliable source here. To answer your question, whether or not I think it's a slippery
slope. Or just two differing opinions, Adara. One guy's in Donald's right ear, the other guy's in his left ear, and they're trying to sway him on either side.
Which I think is difficult, too, because when you have your top two economic advisors who are constantly, not agreeing with one another in terms of the direction, I mean, how does that impact policy?
Absolutely.
Right? I don't know. And I think, I've already said my piece on Cracker Barrel with regards to how companies are being interfered with by the government. I'm not going to repeat that. But I think with the fact that we have two differing opinions from the two head honchos on Trump's economic team, as you said, kind of I don't know how good of a sign that is that, we've got these, what decision will Trump make? We don't really know. That's what he tends to favor Bessent a bit more, I've noticed. So maybe we'll lean that way. But either way, we're going to have to wait and see. Lutnick was the one taking the photo with Lip Bhutan, after all.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Lip Boo.
All right, guys. I just want to let you know that, LUMN is breaking out. Shout out to John Del Segno for pointing out this trade. Not a bad look over here. Let's go on to the next story, Joey, because we only got 4 minutes. PayPal shares slide as German banks halt transactions. Let's see where PayPal is right now. They were down in the pre. They were only down 1.13, so not a bad look. This German newspaper, who I'm not even going to try to pronounce their name, they reported that several major banks in Germany have temporarily blocked PayPal payments. The banks, for their part, they cited a failure in fraud detection as well as security systems by PayPal, leading to a halt in transactions. The affected banks include, there on your screen, again, I'm not even going to try to read them, except DZ Bank, which is the only one that I can probably say properly. German Reddit users as well, so it's not just the banks who are reporting this, but the users. They confirmed that they had charges denied and received emails about payment issues from their banks. It suggests disruption had a broad impact on PayPal users across the country. Joey, just based on, the fact that it's only down 1.13 and seems to have recovered off those lows, $68 there. I feel like maybe the market's taking this in stride.
Yeah, I think so. My question is, though, Sharif, what is tokenization going to do with some of these these payment methods, right?
Well said.
You have the likes of American Express striking deals with Coin. But as for everything else, if you can transact money significantly cheaper, because PayPal is not cheap to use. I had a friend in the UK sending me money. The fees are absolutely insane.
Crazy.
So my question is, it's crazy. You ever used it?
I've used it to pay for stuff.
Yeah, sending money is it's not easy. It's not that easy to use, and it's just completely expensive. It's so expensive. So for me, the question is, what is tokenization going to do for a payment method company?
Well, what does XRP do to them? though.
right?
I mean, like, can't we XRP right now?
We could do whatever we want. You got the square, I got the square. We can boom just like that, no problem. But the thing is, though, you still have to obviously convert that into fiat currency. Which is one of the issues. But tokenized.
Tokenized. You may not. You need to. You may be able to.
It's done. Exactly. It's done. Right. It's a tap method.
There you
so
go.
with the Coinbase and the American Express, boom, a method payment. You just tap right there.
That's going to be monsters. Did you see on Apple the new phone? I'm going to be able to tap like that and send you money. Yeah,
and that's the sick thing, right? So you'll have your group chats and whatever. If you guys pay for a bill,
money,
you can just say boom, just like that, instead of needing
no more waiting.
Our wait, no more.
I forgot the money.
Yeah.
Adira, is there a bigger IT security, cybersecurity issue here, or is this just a one-off incident?
I mean, the fact that it was very much, I guess, segregated or only happening in Germany, I think, in my opinion, eliminates the idea that it was a more widespread issue. Take that how you will, but if you want to do a comparison, and this is not a one-to-one comparison by any means, but CrowdStrike. You know, Sean was making that comparison earlier today. CrowdStrike had that international, like, global outage, right?
Yeah.
So I think the scale of this already for PYPL is much smaller, and as you can tell, the stock really doesn't care all that much. We're basically trading just below where we closed yesterday. So if the stock doesn't care, honestly, is this a story that we're going to remember in a week? And I say this as someone with an eidetic memory. I don't think this is going to really pass too much muster in terms of long-term impact for the stock and likely for investors.
All right, do you guys mind if we just do CoreWeave real quick, or should we send it off to you guys? Are you guys... Katina, man. All right, CoreWeave raised $4 billion through a joint venture with lenders including Blue Owl Capital, Christia Technology Park, and Kohlberg Kravis Roberts, KKR. That's how I know them as. The financing will support construction of a large-scale AI cloud data center out in Pennsylvania, reflecting the growing investor appetite, obviously, for AI infrastructure projects. Unlike, though, speculative CapEx projects that they've engaged in the past, they're emphasizing, in fact, that the funds will be used prudently, to use their words, to build a long-term infrastructure. CEO Michael Intrator stressed that the financial discipline is a core focus for his company, aiming to ensure CoreWeave remains sustainable despite the high capital requirements, Joey. And we know that this company has spent about $50 billion in 2025, or will spend $50 billion in 2025, having only brought in about $5 billion in change in revenue here. So financial discipline, you got to assume, probably one of the main things that investors are looking at.
Absolutely. I know you might not like this take here, Sharif, but I think CoreWeave data centers, cloud, CapEx, all of this kind of correlating together, obviously. I think that they're going to be just fine considering that they're renting the space out. I think they can gain some pretty good customers. I think that you mentioned, though, before that the majority of their revenue is coming from a handful of customers, which is not necessarily a good thing. You obviously want to diverse your customer base, but I think at the end of the day, if you get your hands on a couple massive hyperscalers or some up-and-coming companies, I think you'll be sitting pretty good.
You'll be sitting pretty. Okay. Yeah. Adira, is there a concern here with, number one, the CapEx, number two, the concentration of customers with the hyperscalers and such?
I don't think so for either, and I'm going to answer both those concerns with one point. As I mentioned earlier, CoreWeave actually just did a presentation a couple hours ago at the Deutsche Bank Technology Conference. They said over the last 8 weeks, they've actually signed contract expansions with hyperscalers. So, A, they're still seeing interest from their existing customers, and B, that interest is growing. I think that actually assuages any concerns that I might have had with regards to the business. Not that I've thought a lot about the fundamentals here, but I see what you mean. Like, the spending is clearly out of control, but the fact that they have a steady and seems like increasing customer base, not maybe a bad look for CRWV. That's all I have to say on that.
All right, thanks, Federa. And I just want to add to the point that you guys both made. The cost of debt dropped in Q2, so that eased a little bit of the financial pressure that the company had, and management highlighted favorable debt pricing reflects the long-term confidence they have in their business model. So wait to see what they do. But it's been a hell of a show today. Yeah, nice comeback there and nice trade. My guy on IBIT.
Yeah, it was a tough one, man. For sure.
Just to leave you guys with one quick thought here with respect to the small cappers, it is the Lumen show right now. There's not really a small capper, but this one is breaking out and is insanely respectful of the 10 EMA on the 5. I'll see everybody quickly, or shortly, excuse me, at the big desk. Joe and I back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. Big boys are that way.